Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh has said he will have to reconsider his position within Fine Gael if a MICA redress scheme that is not fair and accessible to all homeowners doesn't get over the line. Details on an enhanced redress scheme following months of discussions were due yesterday, but it's been delayed and now expected to be revealed within the coming weeks. Deputy McHugh has said while it would be a difficult decision to make, he cannot back a scheme that is half-baked.
I won't be standing over a scheme that proved in the past to be a scheme that was half-baked, and the nitpicking that went on with the last scheme, not making it 100%, taking out the storage costs, taking out the rental costs, and taking out all those ancillary costs that were covered by Pyrite. If we don't get that right, I certainly won't be supporting that scheme, and obviously that has consequences for me.
The Chief Clinical Officer with the HSE says it's frustrating that some businesses aren't checking COVID vaccine certs. 44,000 cases of the virus have been reported over the past 14 days. Only 11% of the cases are over the age of 65, but 50% of the hospitalisations are in the same age group. Dr. Colm Henry from the HSE admits it's annoying that some people aren't complying with the rules.
It's frustrating, of course, and we can do better. And I think what we showed last year is that when people rally together, not just to protect themselves and their family, but this sense of solidarity, people want to do the right thing and want to be enabled to do the right thing. So we can do better.
Donegal County Council has confirmed its roads team is investigating possible causes of flooding in the Old Town and Charlie Daly Terrace areas of Letterkenny. The council has also submitted an application to the Department of Transport for climate adaptation funding to carry out assessments of areas of Letterkenny town where there are repeated issues with flooding. The issue was raised by the Cahirlock of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh and Councillor Jerry McMonigal. Councillor McMonigal says the council is right to act.
It's very pressing there, as we've had a number of occasions where there has been flooding, and the houses and businesses in the area are under threat of further flooding. So I welcome the fact that they have made this application and that they have given undertaking that they will carry out an investigation very, very soon.
Weather now, mist and fog will slowly clear this morning. Whilst there will be a lot of dry weather with sunny spells, some well scattered showers will occur also. Highest temperatures today of 10 to 12 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Celebrate Disney Plus Day with an unmissable new lineup and an unbeatable price offer for this week only. From Friday, stream Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
You can't outrun who you really are.
Blockbuster action with Jungle Cruise.
Here we go.
And exclusives like the critically acclaimed new series Dope Sick.
This is the biggest drug in the world.
Don't miss this incredible lineup for just $1.99 for your first month of Disney Plus. Subscription required. Offer valid 8 to 14th November for 18 plus consumers without an active Disney Plus subscription. Auto renews at $8.99 per month.
Are your tyres ready for winter? Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 3 minutes past 9, Wednesday the 10th of November. You're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. We've 3 hours to keep you updated and entertained, and we want your involvement as always. Just to remind you, as we do at the top of the show, that the lines are open for you right now. We do have a particularly interesting show today. We want your views, but also we want you to raise your issues as well if you have them and you want them discussed. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. We are a programme that delivers for you. We work with you to get your problems resolved as well. Get in touch with Caroline by calling 07491 25,000, 07491 25,000. Magine, why have you joining us across our social media platforms today? You can watch the programme now on your phone, tablet, big screen, YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. Give us a like and a subscribe and hit the notification bell. The same can be said of Facebook, streaming live there on Highland Radio News and Sport, and also Highland Radio. So no excuses. Donegal Post this morning, a distinguished and now retired Donegal soldier, the first woman to reach the rank of a senior non-commissioned in the Irish Defence Forces, has spoken of the ongoing campaign for justice for female soldiers who've suffered bullying, harassment and sexual assault in their work. Ardra native Karina Malloy, who now lives in Donegal town, says that the issues extend far beyond this and that apologies, investigations and acknowledgements must now be matched with real change for both women and men within the force. She's been talking to Michael McHugh. You can read more in that paper today. The Finn Valley Voice. A giant of a man, Martin Griffin RIP is the headline. Chris McNulty writes that the Finn Valley lost one of the most iconic people at the weekend. Martin Griffin was a giant of a man in more ways than one. A GEA stalwart. He played 109 times for the Donegal senior football team. Described as a tough full-back, standing and imposing 6'4". Griffin won Ulster Senior Championships with Donegal in 74 and in 83. And he added a third later on. The Irish Times, their headline calls for criminal investigation into purchase of Micah homes. You can read more on that story on the front of and inside that paper today. On to the Nationals now, and we'll start with the Irish Independent. And an interesting one. It's not that side, is it? I'll come back to that. Because there is an interesting story in that, but I've opened it on the wrong page. We'll start with the Irish Times first, I think, then. So, the government and the EU are urgently seeking to dissuade the UK from triggering Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol. With officials in Dublin and Brussels, they fear it could result in a tit-for-tat retaliation between the sides. There have been face-to-face contacts this week between senior figures from the Irish and British governments as the UK makes its case for triggering the mechanism. But Dublin remains fiercely opposed to such a move. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar yesterday said planning for a potential no-deal Brexit would now recommence. There's been a growing expectation in Brussels and Dublin that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's administration is moving towards using the clause to unilaterally suspend aspects of the protocol, which was designed to avoid a hard border on the island after the UK left the EU. Article 16 is an emergency clause in the protocol which can be activated unilaterally if the agreement leads to serious economic, societal or environmental difficulties that are liable to persist or to a diversion of trade. Unilaterally in that regard means, one side can do it without a consultation to the other. Right, back to the Independent, because obviously a lot of interest, a lot of text messages as it relates to this Eamon Ryan story. Now, Eamon Ryan, he received a positive COVID test. Apparently, it was inconclusive and he was called back for a second test. The second test was negative and off he went to COP26. And a lot of people feeling that it seemed to be one rule for them, one rule for us. And as I said on the programme yesterday, I think this one incident has single-handedly done more to sort of undermine the faith in the testing system than anything that went before it. But how rare is it that a test is conducted, there is some sort of a concern, and a second test is conducted? Well, I can tell you it's incredibly, incredibly rare. So the odds on it happening to Mr. Ryan now are becoming, unless he was given special treatment, the odds on it happening to him are very, very small. I'll read on here. Environment Minister Eamon Ryan's among a small minority of people every month who test positive for COVID-19 and get a repeat test through the HSE. The HSE said generally the average number of test results that need to be revised monthly is between 25 and 30. Now, not 25 and 30,000, 25 and 30, although there may be other instances the test and trace system is not aware of. The HSE is now inundated with demand. 168,800 laboratory tests for COVID-19 are being carried out in a week, while in the past fortnight, 44,000 people have tested positive for the virus. So 167 multiplied by 4, a big number there, almost, or if not 700,000, 25 to 30 of those tests are flagged as needing a retest. And one of those just happened to be the Environment Minister, Eamon Ryan. And that retest come back negative and away to Glasgow he went. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, and Sean Fitzpatrick, the former chief executive and chairman of Anglo-Irish Bank, has died. A spokesperson for his family said the 73-year-old died on Monday after a short illness. The former bank boss became a well-known and controversial figure following a transformational rise and collapse of Anglo-Irish Bank. After 30 years, he built Anglo into one of the biggest lending institutions in Ireland. Anglo went bust during the financial crash and cost the Irish state 29 billion. Mr. Fitzpatrick stepped down as Anglo chief in December 2008 when it emerged that he had loans worth 87 million with the institution. He was declared bankrupt in July 2010. He went on trial accused of failed insider trading scams. However, the case collapsed in 2015 after it emerged documents held by the Office of the Director of Corporate Enforcement had been shredded by one of its officials. Now, a lot of people would have him down as one of the key people involved in the economic crash, and much of the conversation on social media has not really been about people grieving his passing or those critical of his role in the banking crisis. It's been whether or not people can talk about it, you know. Half of people saying, you know, have a bit of respect, we can talk about this at a later date. Others go, no, we're going in both feet first. Sad passing here of the late now Austin Curry. The family of Austin Curry, a founding member of the SDLP and key figure at the beginning of Northern Ireland's civil rights movement, are heartbroken at his death. Mr. Curry died in his sleep at his home in County Kildare on Tuesday. He'd recently celebrated his 82nd birthday. A family statement said the Curry family is heartbroken to announce the death of Austin Curry. Austin was married to Anita for 53 years and they were a formidable team whose love for each other and other families saw them through some of the worst times in Northern Ireland's recent history. He founded the SDLP with John Hume and Jerry Fitt in 89. He won a seat in Dublin West for Fine Gael and was a TD and minister until he retired in 2002. He was originally from County Tyrone. That's where he was born, and was the eldest of 11 children. And lastly, to the Irish Daily Mirror. This is one of these stories that's unimaginable, really. It's hard to know how you might feel. I mean, can you imagine if you had a baby, and you nursed the baby in the hospital, you breastfed that baby, you cared for that baby, and you took it home, and then after a couple of months you had to give it up for it to be replaced with another baby. And this is precisely this is around about what happened to two women. A mum was told of the horror of finding she and another woman had given birth to each other's babies after an IVF error. Daphne Cardinale and husband Alexander are suing a fertility clinic that allegedly mixed up the embryos. They and another couple spent months raising the wrong babies before a DNA test revealed the mistake, and they swapped children, a US lawsuit states. Daphne said her family are heartbroken and confusion can't be understated. She said, "Our memories of childbirth will be tainted by the sick reality that our biological child was given to someone else, and the baby that I fought to bring into this world was not mine to keep." Alexander had suspicions in the delivery room when the baby arrived, looking nothing like them. Now, I think, how would I cope with that? I probably would say, in the long haul, I'll come to terms with it, you know, that, yes, I had the wrong baby for 2 or 3 months, but I have my baby now and it's happy and healthy and we have a life hopefully ahead of us together, and I would sort of try and cope with it that way. What would you do? 086 60 25,000. Your comments on that and any of other stories, 086 60 25,000. That's your WhatsApps and your texts. If you're listening or watching us outside the Republic, that really long code, and you think we'd have cracked this nut by now, wouldn't you? But we haven't. If you're in Derry on a British carrier, this is the number you have to dial to text your local radio station, 00353 86 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, 00353 7491 25,000. Right, as I say, our lots to come on the show. Our first guests will be joining us now very shortly.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
The famous Holland and Barrett 1 cent sale is back, with buy one get one for just 1 cent on vitamin D, Manuka honey, natural skincare and much more. And you can even mix and match. Shop in-store or at hollandandbarrett.ie. Ends 14th of the 11th, 21. Selected items, cheapest item 1 cent, subject to availability.
In this week's RTE Guide, from stunning starters to new twists on old favourites, Catherine Fulvio, Clodagh McKenna, Dorina Allen and Donal Skehan have all you need in our free 24-page Christmas recipe collection. Plus Marty Morrissey on live and taking the Marty party on the road. Everything and more. RTE Guide, on sale now.
Get your favourite gear delivered to your door from Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure. Browse the full range online to get gifts for all the family, from gym goddess leggings to 6-sock gift boxes. Choose from the latest collection of runners and leisurewear with free next day nationwide delivery on orders over €85. Shop online at michaelmurphysports.ie.
It's time. Time to wander through a land of natural wonder where breathtaking views are all around. Time to fill those lungs with fresh air on an unforgettable cycle trail. Oh, that's gorgeous. Time to bag a bargain or 5 on an epic afternoon shopping spree. It's time to embrace a giant adventure in Visit Mourne this autumn. Start planning for your next giant adventure at visitmournemountains.co.uk. Travel advice and guidelines apply. Visit nidirect.gov.uk. Check ahead with providers.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
Store and Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store and Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations, business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store and Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
At Letterkenny Shopping Centre, we're already dreaming about the festive season, so why not make a start? Park for free and enjoy your Christmas shopping this year. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
It's 9:16 on the programme now. We're joined by Geraldine McElroy. Geraldine, thanks for taking the call today.
Hi Greg, how are you?
How are you getting on, and how's Thomas getting on?
At the moment, Thomas is quite upset still. He's quite nervous. He's quite distressed. He doesn't want to leave home.
I think the emotional recovery might take longer than the physical recovery on this one, Geraldine.
Absolutely, that's our greatest worry. Thomas recovering from us emotionally. Yes.
Right. Tell us what happened at the weekend.
So what happened was Thomas, like any other 14-year-old, typical 14-year-old, he likes to play PlayStation. He likes to hang out with his best friend. The two boys spend the majority of their time between the two homes playing their PlayStations. They'll take a walk to the shop, get a bag of sweeties, back to the house and play their PlayStation. So Thomas was up in his friend James's house. It was Friday evening, Friday night. They were given a bit of extra time as usual end of the week. Around midnight, my sister Noreen sent James's mum a message and asked her to send Thomas down. It's a 3-4 minute walk from house to house on the main road in the Ballycoman estate. Thomas's dad, Noreen had said to Thomas's dad that Thomas was on his way down to go out and wait for him. Mm-hmm. So his dad was outside waiting. Thomas left James's house. I think maybe after 5 or so minutes, his dad, Tommy, thought he should be down by now. He went on to the house to get his phone to phone Thomas, and when he got out to start walking up the street to meet Thomas was coming running down the street in a very distressed state. They got him into the house. Thomas couldn't speak. He couldn't sit. He just was pacing up and down the kitchen floor, really, really distressed. He had been badly beaten up. What happened was Thomas was walking down the hill and this random person came out of the alleyway. He was rambling. He was, as Thomas would say, he was acting weird. And he just set upon Thomas, and this unprovoked attack just just gave him a really bad beating.
Now, this is... it's awful, but then it could be much worse, and I'm sure those are the thoughts that are running through the family, that, you know, what if this person didn't stop when he stopped? What if it was a one-punch situation and Thomas had struck his head in a curve? It's all of these what-ifs that be running through your head, doesn't it?
That's it. You know, we can only be grateful that, you know, while this is a terrible, terrible thing that has happened to Thomas, we can only be grateful that you know, that it isn't worse. It could have been much worse.
But it was bad. Let's not. I don't want to either. I don't want to either sort of try and say, look, let's not talk about it. You know, it could be much worse. I hope you understand. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that would be a very human thing to say. Well, anything could have happened. I mean, obviously, a lot of it's going to be a blur. Has Thomas ever seen this person around before?
No, Thomas was not familiar with this person whatsoever. Didn't recognise him, didn't know him. As I say, he was just walking down the hill home, and this person just came out of the alley. He was rambling to Thomas. He was, you know, he was making no sense. So he wasn't, and he just set upon him. And unfortunately for Thomas, you know, it was, you know, we think it could have been anybody, but unfortunately for us and for Thomas, it was him, you know, just a completely unprovoked attack. Yeah, and the person who's responsible for this is described as being quite distinctive, I'd imagine. He's 5 foot in height, had a beard, and was wearing a dark hoodie. Now, it's... someone encountered this person either before or after this. It's just a case of whether they come forward and tell the authorities who it actually was. Yes, that's it. We are appealing for people in the community that no matter how insignificant they feel that, you know, something might be, just to come forward. That this person would absolutely have encountered people, you know, in the Ballycummin before and after. You know, whether just be walking past them, or, you know, did you see anybody, you know, did one of your family members come home in distress, you know, search deep, you know, none of us would want this to happen to any of our own families. And I suppose something that we're really aware of is that this person is still walking within our community. There's nothing to say that this person isn't going to do something this again. You know, something worse. You know, that this person is clearly, you know, for someone to do something like that, you know, I don't know.
And the fact that it happened, you know, at 12:30, and I think in a built-up local area, it's not unreasonable to expect a 14, 15-year-old big lad to be able to walk between two houses, a short walk with dad at home, checking up the road until he comes into sight. You should be able to do that safely. And I don't think the time's relevant in this one, because this person sounds like he would have done this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the evening. If you're capable of doing this, the time on the clock makes no difference whatsoever.
Absolutely. You know, and on that route that Thomas was walking, you know, his grandparents live, you know, it didn't happen far from our parents' house. He's got an uncle who lives there, you know. We've lived in the Ballycummin for 40 years, you know, and there's never has been a time when we've been scared to walk our streets, and nobody would have thought that this could have happened, you know, to any of our family or anybody else in the community, that, you know, a child would just be walking home from his friends, you know, at night time, and on the main road, you know, he had no alleys to go up. He had no, you know, no dark corners to be walking through. You know, he was on the main road, and for something so terrible to happen, you know, on a main road, you know, that this could have happened to anybody. You know, this person
at any
really
time.
isn't well. And
it could have been a woman. God knows what might have happened in that scenario. Who's to say?
Could have been anybody.
And
it could have been anybody.
I don't think we can presume that the person that's responsible for this is only ever going to do something like this once in their life. It's very important, I think, if someone's capable of doing this, it's very important that they're spoken to. So again, just to describe the person responsible, 5 foot 4 inches in height. We believe he's in his 20s. He has a beard, and on the night in question was wearing a dark hoodie.
Yes.
Has there been any progress in the investigation so far, Geraldine?
Nothing that can be of
nothing conclusive. Okay.
Any use? No, that's it. We're just appealing to anybody, no matter how small, their information, they feel their information might be, please just contact the authorities on 101, quote and reference number 75, and help us find this person who done this and bring them to justice, because we don't know that they're never going to do this again. And this is someone who's walking within our community who could do the same again or worse.
Yeah, and maybe someone has one of those doorbells that's triggered by movement, has some footage, or maybe someone driving through the area with a dash cam, whatever it might be. Anything that helps in this situation, I think, would be greatly welcomed. Okay, listen, pass on our best wishes to Thomas and his family, of which you're a member, of course, Geraldine. And as I say, hopefully the emotional side of this heals as quickly as the physical side of it might as well.
That's the thing that we're concerned about, and we're hoping that he makes a recovery.
They're strong, our young ones, and they bounce back quick from an awful lot of things.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's a good boy. That's it.
Okay, take care of yourself. Thanks very much indeed. Geraldine McElroy, her son Thomas, just 14, randomly attacked on Saturday night. Got an awful beating. I saw the pictures. Incredibly unpleasant. He was walking between two houses in the Ballycolman area. His own house, a few doors up, a short walk. No idea who this man is, why it happened, completely unprovoked. A guy thought to be in his 20s, 5'4", with a beard, wearing a black hoodie on the night in question. And as you can imagine, I think it's important that person is spoken to. Right, now we're joined on the programme by Mary Ferry. Good morning to you, Mary. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us today.
Morning, Greg.
How are you, Mary?
I'm not too bad, Greg. I've got pericarditis, which was just a side effect from the vaccine I got in July.
You got the Pfizer vaccine, is that correct?
I did, yeah.
And this condition, it's recorded. Thankfully, it is incredibly rare. But it is is it liquid around the heart? What has it been described to you as?
It's so far what they're saying, like it's pericarditis I have. There's been no investigations done further to see if it's affected the myocardium, which is the next layer, the muscular layer. But the pericarditis is the outer lining of the heart. It's a little sac, and it's inflammation and fluid, a buildup of fluid around the heart. So it affects your breathing, and I've got inflammation on the ribs, breathlessness, dizziness. It's just not pumping, the way it working, the way it should be.
And when did you realise something wasn't? I presume you've no history of issues with your heart, Mary, so this came out of the blue.
Yeah, there's no heart conditions in the family or no history, no. It was just after the first vaccine in July, within hours, probably about 2 or 3 hours just afterwards, I had no smell or taste. And of course, that's, a symptom of COVID. So I got tested the following day for COVID because I felt fine at lunchtime, but then no smell or taste in the evening. And that lasted, my test was negative, but that lasted for over a month of no smell and taste. But one day after getting that, the first vaccine, I had a sharp pain on the upper left rib, behind the heart. And that was uncomfortable. That was hard to, sleep, and it just was ongoing. And then I got that treated with an osteopath, homeopath, and it eased a bit, but didn't fully kind of recover. And then after the second vaccine, it was lower ribs, left side again, and that was excruciating. I had to just I couldn't work.
How soon after the second vaccine did you say this?
It was about 5-6 days afterwards. I feel like the medication from the first one kind of wore off, and then once it wore off, it was the lower ribs, the left rib, but it was much worse than the first vaccine.
And at that point, then you went to your GP. What were they saying to you?
At that point, after I did. I got anti-inflammatories and pain relief, and really they just thought it was inflammation in the ribs or that I damaged them, but I hadn't done anything. So I didn't know where it came from, but it eased the pain. So the anti-inflammatories, the painkillers, it took it all away. It eased it all. I went back to work and everything was going fine for about 5 or 6 days. And then it went into my chest and my chest started to tighten. I felt breathless and dizzy and, just...
A lot of those symptoms would overlap with panic attacks. And I think that was, in the early stages, you were being told that that's probably what was happening to you.
That was it, yeah. When I went to hospital, the A&E, they did thorough checks. They checked they're actually checking for pericarditis, and they did blood tests, they did chest X-rays, they did really good checks, but nothing showed up. They just says it was a panic attack. And then I went home, and 2 days later, I got worse and worse, and that's when I lost the feeling in my left arm, and I went back into hospital again. It's just panic attacks. But in the meantime, I got referred to Dublin, and that's where I got an echo scan of the heart to see what was happening. And it was like diagnosed pericarditis and a buildup of fluid around the heart.
I mean, to some extent, I mean, it's shocking news to get, but there must be a bit of relief there because, you're being sent home. You knew something was up. You were being told it was effectively in your head. So I suppose at least then you had a diagnosis, something to work with. What's the treatment for this condition?
At the minute, well, I'm on anti-inflammatories. Colchicine, it's a specific to treat pericarditis. I'm on that for 3 months. I have to go back in December to get another echo scan to see if the fluid has decreased. And I'm on pain relief, steroids, because the ribs are still, I still have the breathlessness, the rib pain. I'm hoping that it's not as bad as it was. The tightness of the chest is gone and all that, but I'm still not working. I can't work because I'm not able to at the minute,
And is that because of energy levels or...
You wake up, Greg, and you feel good. You say, okay, I'm going to be okay today. And then within a couple of hours, it's just hits you. It's like you're fatigued and dizzy and breathless again. So it's hard to know, how you're going to be.
Yeah. And do you know anyone else personally that this has happened to, or?
Just what the consultant in Dublin said. He's been treating pericarditis since March 2020 for people who've had COVID, have got it from COVID, and people who have developed it from a side effect of the vaccine. So both, he's got a lot of it. He actually said he's, quite common, both pericarditis and myocarditis. Yeah.
And has he spoken out publicly about this? If he's saying he's seeing a lot of it, would it not be in his interest to speak publicly on it, Mary?
I don't know if he has, Greg, but that was my first question to him, is have you seen much of it? And he said since March 2020, he has seen quite a bit of it. For me, I just want to let people know that if you have any of these symptoms, get it checked out. Don't ignore it. Don't just, I did kind of for long enough not think of any connection to the Pfizer, but it was a bit of a coincidence why it all happened immediately after the Pfizer vaccine,
Yeah, and your consultant attributed your condition to the vaccine. He said that to you?
Oh, yeah. Once he asked where it started, and which is quite common, he said, it can start in the ribs. And then, that because your intercostal muscle between the ribs is all part of your breathing. And every time I take a breath, it was so painful to breathe, and up on around the chest pains got worse and worse. So it's all inflamed. I feel there's a lot of inflammation still there, and I've got inflammation in both lungs as well.
Yeah, okay. We're also joined on the programme by Chair of the GP Committee of the IMO, Dr. Dennis Mcauley. Dr. Dennis, this is, according to the official statistics, relatively rare. It's more common in people with COVID, I think, than with the vaccine, but it's certainly something people need to be aware of and keep an eye out for.
I think so, Greg, and good morning, Mary.
Morning.
Yeah, it is. I think it is. I think that myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the muscle and then the surface of the heart, is a very rare event. But it can be associated both with the vaccine and with COVID itself. I think the important thing to remember is that when you take a vaccine, there are risks associated with any vaccine, and then you have to look at the benefit associated with it. I think the important fact is that if you don't get vaccinated, the chance of you getting COVID between now and Christmas is almost 100%. And if you get
is
that,
it really that high, Dennis? With all due respect,
I think actually
what are you basing that on? I mean, I'm pretty cautious.
The actual mod. If you haven't been vaccinated, the modelling is that because of the Delta variant, that there's a very high chance. Well, let's just say 95%.
I get you.
The modelling by NIAC would say that if you don't get vaccinated, the chances of you getting COVID is essentially you are going to get COVID between now and Christmas. Now, when you get COVID, there's one of the side effects is that you can get a myocarditis. Now, Mary is atypical to a certain extent. Generally, when you get a myocarditis associated with COVID, it can last six to 7 months. Now, when you get the vaccine, there is a small risk that you can get a myocarditis as well, but it's generally in younger males, actually, but it can happen at any age. In Ireland, it's happened over a broad range. It generally is a milder form as well. So what I would sort of say is that if you get the vaccine, there's a very small risk. It's maybe 1 in 100,000 that you could get a myocarditis. It is generally short-lived. But if you don't get the vaccine, the risk of getting a myocarditis is at least 20 times greater than that. And it generally is of a much greater type, and it will last longer. So it is like any vaccine. You have to look at the benefits and the risks. And when you look at it from a myocarditis point of view, if you don't get the vaccine, your chances of getting myocarditis is at least 20 times greater, and it's probably going to last longer. So from a risk benefit, you have to sort of say, well, that's only one of the.
We're looking at the demographics now. I obviously want to go back to Mary, but people listening to this might be in line for a booster vaccine, and they might listen to what Mary has to say and say, well, that might triple my chances of this happening to me. What are the incidence rates of this condition post-vaccination in the vulnerable and older age groups?
It's very rare, really. To be honest, it's very rare anyway, but it generally has affected young adults, mainly males. So I think we have had I haven't encountered any
No, you're breaking up there, Dennis. I'll just give your line a chance to
talk about quite a lot when we were rolling it out.
Right, sorry, I just wanted to go back to that. You say you have not encountered any what, sorry?
I haven't encountered any myocarditis and pericarditis in the older group. Remember that when we were introducing this for the 12 to 16-year-old group, that's when we started to talk more about the risk of myocarditis. We did try to bring it into the public forum at that time because the risk is more with that under 20 age group generally. Now, naturally, there are always going to be exceptions. So when we were talking about the 12 to 16-year-old group with regards to the mRNA vaccines, where there was discussion, and I just say that there is a very small risk of myocarditis with the 12 to 16-year-old group particularly, but that generally it's of a mild form, and generally it does, hopefully when Mary gets her second echo, that it will have resolved. But generally speaking, it is of a much milder form than if you got COVID itself and you got myocarditis. If you got myocarditis, it's 20 times more likely to happen, and it's definitely going to last longer.
If you've got pericarditis from a jab, does that mean you were likely to get it from COVID, or is there something in spike proteins or whatever it might be with the vaccine that leaves you more likely to it?
No, I think it is. I don't think it's anything to do with COVID. It's to do with the immunological response that your body has developed. The mRNA vaccine is the only one that causes a pericarditis. For instance, the AstraZeneca didn't cause that. So it's the vaccine rather than the actual disease. But as I say, if you don't get the vaccine, your risks associated of getting it is 20 times greater, and it's going to be much harder.
But from your perspective, Mary, the risk of getting it was 100%, and it's something that you're having to live with now. And it's I mean, obviously the physical side of it, but you're in a line of work that, you particularly, everyone's passionate about the work, but it's very hands-on, it's very personal. It must be a big hit to you not being able to carry out your day-to-day activities.
Yeah, it is, Greg. I mean, I'm into my 7th week, and I'm hoping maybe to bring in, 1 or 2 clients a day and trying to get back. But I tried that last week and I had to cancel them. I couldn't go back. I don't believe I'll take a booster vaccine. I couldn't possibly, because it's affected me this way, with
I can't imagine your GP would recommend that, because that's what we have GPs for. It would be surprising. Or maybe you would. Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, it would be unlikely, wouldn't it?
It would be unlikely.
I mean, the same as someone who's any clotting instances. You speak to your GP and they would advise you against that. Those people make up also a portion of that sort of 8% of adults who aren't fully vaccinated, presumably.
I would imagine even if the GP, if GP advised it, I think Mary would be very, very reluctant to get it anyway. But no, I don't think the GP. I think if you've had an immune response to this vaccine, I wouldn't recommend that you get a booster. But we hopefully, because you're young and your immune system is obviously very competent because you've had immune response to it, that the coverage of the booster for COVID infection should be quite high now. So hopefully that will persist for some time, much greater than you would expect in an 80-year-old, for instance.
Okay, yeah. Mary, last word to you.
Just a lesson out there to the public. If anybody gets symptoms, don't delay in getting seen to, because I felt I left it too long. I should have, looked into it sooner.
Okay. Listen, thank you very much for that, Mary. Before I let you go, Dennis Mcauley, obviously we're having conversations like this. There a whistleblower who had been working with Pfizer, questioning, how trials were conducted there. Now, this person was 2 weeks on a site in the United States that was in there to audit the testing situation, and this one site in America was responsible for about 4% of Pfizer testing, as I understand, so it's not across the board. But obviously when you hear stories like Mary's, other stories circulating as it relates to vaccines and maybe how they were researched and what have you, and then the conversation about, well, sure, you're as likely to pass it on with the vaccine as not. I'm not saying all that's correct. I'm just saying this is in the melting pot out there. Yes. How do you think it bodes for where we're going forward?
I think it's boding well. I think generally, despite, I think in Ireland particularly, people have looked through the sort of the fog and seen the facts. I think that when you look at the uptake in all the age groups, even the group that would look at social media a lot, the uptake has been frighteningly high in Ireland, and I think that's because people listen to these. They are logical, sensible people. They look at the facts, and I think even looking at the facts, where a simple example of that is, look at the incidence in the over 80s was beginning to creep up because their immunity was beginning to wane there. We've started the booster campaign in the over 80s, and surprise, surprise, the incidence rate is actually dropping.
It's remarkable, the drop in the slow increase in the over 75s and the drop in the over 85s. It's been somewhat or completely, it's up to whoever is speaking, attributed to that booster shot, but it is remarkable to see our most vulnerable.
But I think there's no problem speaking about the relative. When you take any medicine, whether it's a vaccine or whether there's a tablet, you always look at the risk of that and you look at the actual benefit. The vast majority of people have looked at this, have sort of said, despite what I've read and so forth, when I've looked at the facts and I've listened to people and outlets that I trust, these are the situation, and most people are voting with their feet and saying, listen, regardless of there's a small risk.
That being said, though, Dennis,
the benefit is very high.
This is not like we didn't have this conversation, because when the talk was about giving the vaccine to younger people, there was the risk versus, the risk of the vaccine versus the risk of COVID. And for a long time it was teetering, and then eventually a decision was made. But if a young male, a young healthy person, 22, 23 years of age, who would be at greater risk of pericarditis seemingly than COVID, these conversations will perhaps deter some in that age cohort from getting the vaccine.
I think I would go back a step, because you sort of said that the vaccine doesn't prevent the spread. If you're vaccinated.
I was saying that's the conversation that's out there. Yourself.
No, but I think there's a half truth in that. If you get the vaccine, you're less likely to get COVID. But if you get COVID, you can still spread it. There is no doubt about that. I think if you look at the focus groups for the younger population, they were looking at their risk and the risk of the general population, including those that they loved, and they were making a very valid adult choice to say, listen, this vaccine has a very small risk. I have a small risk if I get COVID, but if I get the vaccine, it'll help me, it'll help everybody in my class, it'll help my mum and dad, it'll help my granny, and it'll help the general population too. So we have to commend the young people who have gone forward to get the vaccine. They've made a very adult decision. A lot of the 12 to 16-year-olds who are coming for vaccines, it is because they want the vaccine and they've asked their parents to bring them for it, because they have decided that they want to get in to the national movement to try and get as many people vaccinated as possible to protect people.
Yeah, okay. And the majority have made that decision of 18 pluses. It's over 92%. That is the majority of people listening to this programme in the country. They have made that decision themselves. And I suppose to some extent, whilst, talking about the other side of things, we have to respect that. That's an awful lot of people. Right, okay, thank you very much for that this morning. I appreciate it. Dr. Dennis Mcauley, and also Mary Ferry, who her consultant said had that adverse reaction after the second. Well, she had a reaction after the first, got the second, and has had that pericarditis issue, which is rare, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. She's under the care now of the Blackrock Clinic. She has a second echo in December, and we join with Dr. Mcauley there in hoping that clears up as soon as is possible. And she's back doing what she does best, and that's looking after people, caring for people. All right, it is the 9 till noon show. Back with more after these.
Get your tyres ready for winter. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? Use Ross, Revenue's online service, to pay and file online by November 17th. If you're not yet registered for Ross, do so today at revenue.ie. Avoid a surcharge, interest, penalties and a possible tax audit. Don't miss the November 17th deadline. Pay and file on time.
Zero. It gets a bad rep. Like when people say they have zero interest in something. Well, if you're thinking of buying an electric car this year, you'll find this interesting, because at Nissan we see the power of zero. Introducing the Nissan Leaf Power of Zero offer. Buy a brand new 100% electric zero emissions Nissan Leaf and get 1 year's free servicing, a free home charger, the lowest electric finance offer on the market, and great savings on running costs. Now that's the power of zero. Find out more at nissan.ie.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Winter in Dublin presents Live in the City. This November, Dublin is buzzing with all things live. Great gigs and powerful performances, full of excitement, joy, drama, intrigue, and plenty of comic relief too. It's all about enjoying Dublin, whether you're right in front of the stage or cheering from the balcony. Join us for Live in the City this winter in Dublin. See visitdublin.ie for more.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Live GA action continues this weekend on Highland with 2 finals down for decision. Cloughanneely and Dunloe will meet again in the intermediate final replay at 2 on Saturday. Then on Sunday at 3, Letterkenny Gaels take on Downings for the Donegal Junior title. Both games are live on Highland this weekend in association with Boyce's Centra stores in Fulcara, Dunfanaghy and Carrigart. Boyce's Centra. Shop local, support local.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning, Gina. Grant, good morning, Gina. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine, yeah.
Right, now, I'm slightly disadvantaged in that I didn't see the primetime show last night, but I understand that investigators had a look into what's described as the outdated law of wards of court. Now, you took an interest in this, Gina. Maybe you could just give us a quick overview of the programme and what it meant to you.
The programme was basically about people who have been brought into the wardship for one reason or another. There was children who have been awarded compensation from the state or from the HSE for whatever reason. They have then become ward of court, and that's where their compensation will be looked after by a state body, and it can be drawn down as of when they need it. If you have, there was a person on it who had a car accident who then acquired a brain injury, and then his compensation and wealth or whatever, then he was made ward of court then as well. And that's where you actually belong to the state, to put it in a simpler term. Now, I'm not an expert on it. Mm-hmm. It's only whenever my son was born who has Down syndrome, we obviously were looking into everything, and we were told at that point in time when we were going to school age, and then we were looking into sports in school, and then as we had to fight then for support to take legal action, we were also informed of this Lunacy Act. And at the time, there was nothing else. We were informed that when he became 18, that he would become ward of court if we registered him as such, because legally, at 18, because he had Down syndrome and an intellectual disability, that he lacked the capacity to make decisions for himself. So therefore we couldn't leave him anything in our will. If we had farm or a land, we wouldn't be allowed to leave it to him because he lacked capacity. He wasn't allowed to marry, and only in February this year that law changed.
So what would trigger, we'll use your son as an example because it's easy to have the conversation, what would trigger him becoming a ward of court at 18? It's not by default, is it? You mentioned just as it relates to school and what have you. So what would trigger someone becoming a ward of court at 18?
Even younger, if they were left a huge compensation from.
I get you.
Become a ward of court is somebody that they deem as lacking capacity to make their own decisions and having a comprehensive view of the decisions they're making and the reasonable outcomes of such. So at 18, whenever a person becomes an adult in Irish law, what I was told then was that it's not acted upon, but legally I had no right to make medical decisions because he becomes an adult. I have now no longer the standing over him that I would have had before 18. Now, become a ward of court, you do need you need 2 medical certificates to state that this person either has an intellectual disability or lacks the capacity to make a decision.
But if that person lacks a capacity to make a decision, a parent or guardian who were capable of helping or making those decisions under 18 are no longer classed as suitable to do so over 18. Is that...
When they turn 18, no.
Wow.
You are no longer legally responsible for any of your children. So then if you have a child with an intellectual disability, you therefore are still... Now, I was told at the time, because I remember being down in different areas, and I was told it's not acted upon, but there was a legal defence coming on board then, and there was people fighting it at that time. Now, my son's only 13. But anyway, the fight had ensued then for this. People could become ward of court if without even them knowing.
Yeah, and what it can mean is that they're presumed then not to be able to make their own considerations. They're not seen as capable to vote, or may not be, to have their own bank account, to travel wherever they want to.
Everything, your basic rights is taken off you, and you have to apply for you're not allowed to vote, you're not allowed to leave the country. Any medical procedures has to go through a solicitor or the courts.
And can that be challenged, Gina? And if so, would the challenge be taken seriously? Because if you are believing that someone by default is not capable of that list of things I mentioned before, then you know if they contest that, would that be treated with the respect it deserves?
Before 2015, there was nothing, and you could have contested it, but it's a very, very difficult battle, and you can come out of it again. But again, it is a huge battle. And when you become ward of court, if you be left any wealth, or if you have an inheritance, or if you've been given compensation, that goes to stakeholders who look after your financial affairs. You have no say of what they do with it. You have no say of where they go with it. And some people that showed in the programme last night had lost every penny that they were given in compensation to look after them through their lifetime. And they no longer have any finances left in the fund because of bad investments. And
so what does the future hold? Is there any positives from if it's acted upon, the Assisted Decision Making Capacity Act 2015? Would that cover what we're talking of, or is this going to be the norm until such time as people see that it needs to be changed?
People do. That's what I was saying. There has been an ongoing battle, but unfortunately, the government and powers that be is very slow in moving. It is in law, but it's not acted upon because the provision to make it legislation isn't there. The decision-making bill will make it more individualised. It's still not perfect. There's still a huge amount wrong, but it's a good step forward. And the likes of myself, who has 2 children, one who will never have the capacity to make a decision, knowing, you know, he won't. He just is non-verbal. He won't have the capacity to know what decision he's making. Where Christopher will have the capacity to make a decision. So therefore, in their cases, I'm only talking personally, Francis will have an executive, somebody who will be able to make decisions for his best interest. We could nominate somebody in the family. We could nominate somebody that knows him best, and that person will be the person who will assist and be Francis's representative. So it won't go to the state as such. Christopher will have an assistant. He will have a decision-making assistant who will help him understand the comprehensions around the affects any decision he makes. Okay. Whether it be right or wrong, they're not there to judge his decision. They're just there to make him aware that he understands the decision he's making. And that will make a huge difference. And that gives him the capacity to have choices. It gives him the capacity to actually live a full life.
And respect him.
Yes.
It means the state might respect him.
But, you know, right now in the state, anybody with an intellectual disability cannot have a same-sex relationship and cannot act upon it and cannot have an adult relationship or a sexual relationship before marriage by law. You know, it was only in February this year that it was given now that those with an intellectual disability can't get married. You know, we're outdated is such an understatement of what.
Right, Gina, I think I would love to return to this topic with you when we've more time, because it is a very important one, and I want to get a full grasp of it myself as well. Clearly you have, but I think we need to get more information out on this. We have spoken in the past about it, and I would love if we could again in the future, Gina. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, take care. Gina Grant there. Did you watch that programme? 08660 25,000.
Get your tyres winter ready. Drop into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
At McGee's.ie, you can create gallery quality art on canvas from your favourite photo, direct from your phone, laptop or PC. Simply upload your favourite picture and have it printed on canvas, transformed into gallery quality art for as little as $44.95. Click and collect or have it delivered to your door ready to hang. Big pics, small prices. At McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny. See McGee's.ie.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 91 262 76.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Christmas Club now open. New ranges of clothing for boys and girls from Nike, Adidas and Under Armour. Adidas tracksuits from only €45. Nike quarter zips with matching bottoms from only €25. Join our Christmas Club today. Check in store for details. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Buy a ticket. Buy a ticket in Highland Radio's mega draw to win a car. Get your ticket by November 30th and automatically enter an extra draw before the big draw. Big draw. One lucky winner will walk away with €2,000. Imagine, that's Christmas all wrapped up. Christmas sorted. The draw will take place on Wednesday, December 1st on the 9 till noon show. 9 till noon. And you're still in with a chance to win the Kia Exceed worth over €28,000.
28 grand. It's that simple to win that car.
To get your ticket, log on to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio, exceeding your expectations.
Ooh.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. There's also loads of great present ideas with the Christmas Club now open. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
Uncover the magic of Christmas in Derry and Strabane. Join us for some festive fun with the Christmas light switch-ons. Strabane, Saturday the 20th of November and Derry, Sunday the 21st of November. Find something special at the enchanting Walled City Market and join Santa and his helpers with the Mayor's Christmas fun activities in December. Visit derrystrabane.com/Christmas.
Highland Radio weather updates with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil to Letterkenny and the surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137 400.
Now, mist and fog clearing this morning. There'll be a lot of dry weather with sunny spells. Some well-scattered showers will occur too. Temperatures in the seasonal range of 10 to 12 degrees in light variable breezes. Back with more after the news and obituary notices.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh says he will have to reconsider his position within Fine Gael if a micro-redress scheme that is not fair and accessible to all homeowners doesn't get over the line. Details on an enhanced redress scheme following months of discussions were due yesterday. It's now been delayed and is expected to be revealed within the coming 2 weeks. Deputy McHugh has said while it would be a difficult decision to make, he cannot back a scheme that's half-baked.
I won't be standing over a scheme that proved in the past to be a scheme that was half-baked, and the nitpicking that went on with the last scheme, not making it 100%, taking out the storage costs, taking out the rental costs, and taking out all those ancillary costs that were covered by Pyrite. If we don't get that right, I certainly won't be supporting that scheme, and obviously that has consequences for me.
A teenage boy has been left terrified to leave home after being badly beaten during an unprovoked attack in Strabane last weekend. 14-year-old Thomas left his friend's home at around 12:30 on Saturday morning to make the short walk to his home in the Ballycomen area. He was set upon by a man who police are describing as being in his late 20s with a beard and around 5 feet 4 inches in height, who's believed to have been wearing a dark hoodie at the time of the attack. On today's 9 till noon show, Thomas's aunt Geraldine McElroy appealed to anyone with information to contact police.
We are appealing for people in the community that no matter how insignificant they feel that something might be, just to come forward. This person would absolutely have encountered people in the Ballycomen before and after, whether just be walking past them, or did you see anybody, did one of your family members come home in distress, said deep. Something that we're really aware of is that this person is still walking within our community.
A Donegal deputy has clashed in the Dáil with Taoiseach Micheál Martin after the Environment Minister appointed two close colleagues as members of the Climate Change Advisory Council. Last month, Eamon Ryan appointed Professor Morgan D. Basilian, who was previously an advisor to him, and Dr. Cara Augustenberg, who ran unsuccessfully for the Greens in the 2014 local elections. Speaking in the Dáil, Deputy Padraig McLaughlin said no formal public appointment process was followed. He asked the Taoiseach when and if Minister Ryan will outline the process that was used.
Now, we've been through the whole Catherine Sapone affair,
We had basically the Oireachtas scandalised by all of that. When is Minister Eamon Ryan going to come before the Oireachtas, before the Dáil, and make a statement outlining the process that led to those two appointments? We need to know, is he going to come in at the earliest opportunity? Are you going to ask him to come in?
Well, responding, the Taoiseach said he was enthused by Deputy McLaughlin's concern.
I'm really enthused by your concern for close colleagues being appointed to positions of authority. You might look within your own party and you have many close colleagues appointed to many positions and a whole lot of bodies across Northern Ireland. But I would say this, I think it's wrong though to impugn to two individuals concerned, and I think they're people of considerable expertise in the field. They're involved in the field.
The Garda Commissioner says the force is in contact with American authorities about international crime gangs such as the Kinahans. The gang is thought to be one of the largest in Europe, with an empire estimated to be worth €1 billion. Commissioner Drew Harris says he met with senior crime officials in the US last week.
Very productive meetings with various law enforcement agencies, federal law enforcement agencies in Washington at the very highest level, and they've assured me of their cooperation, and indeed I've assured them of ours as well. We are a significant player when it comes to organised crime, and we want to play our full part, not just here in Ireland but internationally, in bringing those organised crime groups down.
Weather forecast and meteorologist mist and fog will slowly clear during this morning. There'll be a lot of dry weather with sunny spells today. Some well-scattered showers will occur, with highest temperatures hitting 10 to 12 degrees Celsius in light variable breezes. Most areas staying dry tonight under broken cloud, but some mist and fog will develop with light variable breezes. Chilly with lowest overnight temperatures 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. Coldest where clear skies persist. Mist and fog will lift tomorrow morning, mostly dry to begin, but cloud will thicken with scattered outbreaks of rain moving up from the south, turning heavy later. It'll turn increasingly windy as well, with strengthening southerly winds hitting gale force at sea. Rather mild tomorrow, top temperatures 13 or 14 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning.
The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, November the 10th. The death has occurred of Anne Harvey, Shan Valley, Castlefin. Her remains are reposing at her late residence from 3 o'clock this afternoon. House private on Friday and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral from there on Saturday, going to St Mary's Church at Castlefin. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has occurred of Mary McMenamin, 3 Time Parks Convoy. Funeral leaving her late residence on Friday morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church Convoy. Interment afterwards in the Old Cemetery. Family flowers only. The house is strictly private to family only, please. The death has occurred of Phyllis McBride, Carrick Castlefin. Funeral leaving her late residence tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church at Castlefin. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Winifred Winnie Kelly, née Peoples, Ballybunnaber, Termin. Remains reposing at Winnie's late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow for Mass at 12 noon in St Columba's Church, Termin, while by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on St Columba's Church Termin Facebook page. The death has taken place of Francis McFadden, McGregor, Rye, Rathmullen. His remains are reposing at his home. Requiem Mass tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen, with burial afterwards in Rathmullen Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on mcnmedia.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to the Renal Department, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Patrick Sweeney Funeral Directors. And the death has taken place of Gemma Doherty, Isle of Doe, Clonmany and formerly of Woodside, Carndonagh, reposing at her late residence in the Isle of Doe. Cremation will take place tomorrow afternoon in Lakelands Crematorium Cavan at 3 o'clock. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Thank you very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Thank you very much for all of your texts and comments so far this morning. This caller says, in relation to COVID, most young people opted to take the vaccine simply to gain access to nightclubs and be allowed to get on with their lives, which is a sweeping statement. I don't think we can talk to really the motivation of all of our young people, but I take your point. There's no doubt that's played a factor. I'm from a family of 10, so I have lots of nieces and nephews. I'm not taking the vaccine because I feel it was created too quick and not enough time was given to research it, and that is your free will. That's misinformation from Dr. Mcauley. Dr. Peter McCullough, one of America's most respected cardiologists, who was fined for spreading misinformation, though I have to say as well, said their studies found the exact opposite of what the doctor was claiming. What research is the doctor quoting? And it seems you can just find out whatever information you like. Some people might think that the sun, moon and stars comes out of Dr. McCullough, whilst others, the legal profession, he was taken to... he was fined for spreading misinformation on COVID too. Or not fined, he was sanctioned for it. I'm listening to this and it certainly sounds familiar to me. My friend had underlying health conditions, was taken to hospital twice, and the consultant told her she never should have been given the vaccine. She never recovered. She did what was asked of her and paid a price for it. Many people also listening that would be able to tell similar stories of those that didn't take the vaccine. Hi, Greg. Since getting the second dose of Pfizer, I have severe right leg problems, which I've never read about before. I was in hospital a week, no answer to it. Every test done, nothing showed up. I'm left with now unable to work with severe numbness and buckling in my leg. I'm definitely not taking the booster. The only explanation I have is the Pfizer, but can't get any medical person to actually speak out. Yes, this is vaccine related, and as I say, I've done a lot of reading on this. I've never heard of a one limb becoming numb as a result of an injury. But this caller wants to know, has anyone else got mobility problems since Pfizer? They say they were fit and healthy beforehand, walked every day, and now they're on illness benefit. Hi, Greg. I've always suffered from anxiety panic attacks on and off, but since getting the vaccine, they've got much worse. Another, of course, is going to poo-poo it. He just wants everyone to get the vaccine and isn't talking about the side effects, like what happened to Mary. We're literally talking to Mary about the side effects, by the way. We can't sort of... at the same time, say we're not talking about something when we've literally just done the interview on it as well. But Mary, thank you very much for your point of view. And whether you agree or disagree with Dr. Mcauley, it is the consensus amongst seemingly the majority of medical professionals in the world who are active and working and have practices and patients and what have you. My husband has similar symptoms, been to the emergency department too, currently waiting on further tests with a cardiologist. We wish him every... good wish going forward. And other doctors are afraid to speak as they are being threatened about losing their licence. And Mcauley and Marcus de Bruyne are perfect examples. Mcauley was a temp GP, of course, and her views have been well established on many ranging subjects, not just the vaccine, long before that as well. Dr. de Bruyne, I read some of his stuff. I find it a little bit confusing where he's coming from, but I accept the point that you're making as well. 086 60 25,000 texts and WhatsApps. That's how you get in contact with us. And give us a call on 07491 25,000. Good luck if you are playing bingo today. Here are the numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 10th of November. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S3. It's game number 45. The numbers are 48, 32, 2, 47, 15, 13, 76, 81, 54, and finally 33. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Get your tyres winter ready. Drop into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Whenever I'm looking for a special gift, I go straight to giftedfromireland.com. It's amazing. Birthdays, weddings, anniversaries. You'll always find something. And for Christmas gifts, it's perfect. Tweeds from Donegal, glass from Waterford, ceramics from Kilkenny, art from Mcauley. Send your loved ones something really special with giftedfromireland.com.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, Profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 325 75.
Live music and entertainment is back at the Alley Theatre Strabane with the Dubliners Show, Conall Gallen, Sorry for Your Loss, Cash Returns, The Johnny and June Story, The Christmas Country with the Stars Show and Strabane Chamber Choir. For more information and tickets, alley-theatre.com or follow our socials.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors Stranorler. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Celebrate Disney Plus Day with an unmissable new lineup and an unbeatable price offer for this week only. From Friday, stream Marvel Studios' Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. You can't outrun who you really are. Blockbuster action with Jungle Cruise. Here we go. And exclusives like the critically acclaimed new series Dope Sick. This is the biggest drug in the world. Don't miss this incredible lineup for just $1.99 for your first month of Disney Plus. Subscription required. Offer valid 8 to 14 November for 18 plus consumers without an active Disney Plus subscription. Auto renews at $8.99 per month.
Now, you're very welcome back to the programme. We're joined on it now by Dr. Patrick Sullivan, who's Deputy Chief Executive of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. Good morning to you, Doctor. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Greg, and it's wonderful to have time with you and your listeners this morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you this morning.
Right. Now, where are we in the process, the consultation process on the draft primary curriculum framework? Well, I suppose maybe why are we changing things might be a better initial question.
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg. And for many of our listeners here today, they'll be thinking about their own children in primary school, and they'll be thinking about the wonderful experiences they have day in, day out across our primary schools in Ireland. But we do have to recognise that our primary school curriculum that is being used is actually 22 years old at this stage. So while it was a cutting-edge curriculum when it was introduced in 1999 by the then Minister of Education, Micheál Martin, it was informed by the research of the day, by our societal attitudes of the day, by the educational thinking of the day. And it was very much a cutting-edge curriculum when it was introduced. But 22 years on, gosh, we have to think about whether it is still can be described as a cutting-edge curriculum, particularly if we think about what 99 was like. I think mobile phones are just being introduced to our homes. Y2K and the Millennium Bug was on everybody's minds, and the euro hadn't been introduced. We're still using pounds and punts back in 1999. And if we think about today's children, born in 2021, moving into school by 2026 and working their way through school and entering the workforce in the 2040s, retiring by the 2080s and 2090s, we really do have to look at the world they're about to inhabit and the types of learning that they need, the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes and beliefs that they need to be able to negotiate that world. And that's really what this is about. This is about looking again at primary curriculum.
Yeah, is it about then, obviously there's preschool, primary school, then on to secondary. We maybe have a better understanding of things like, I don't know, the importance of physical exercise and diet, how we teach subjects. Maybe we can reflect on what's happening around the world and what works best at what ages. Like, are we talking a significant then overhaul?
We are, Greg, and you mentioned straight from the off there that, primary or pre-primary education, early childhood education is now a feature of children's experiences. And that wasn't the case back in 1999. So over 97% of children now avail of at least 1 year of preschool before coming to primary. And so they have that foundation of knowledge, that experience of early childhood education through the Astra framework, which has been used to support learning experiences for early childhood. And we've also had changes in post-primary with the junior cycle framework in terms of how students experience junior cycle, the types of learning experiences they have in ways in which they are assessed. And so both ends of primary have changed, and yet we haven't yet looked in its totality at the primary curriculum. And this is that opportunity. It is also, once in a generational opportunity. If we look back at the 100 years, over 100 years, 100 years since the foundation of our state, we've had 3 overhauls of the curriculum back in 1926, 1971, and the 1999 curriculum. This is now the 4th. So it is a very important time. It's important that people in communities and families and people have an opportunity to have their say on this consultation, which will run until the end of February next year.
Right, so who is feeding into this at the moment? Is it schools? Is it parents and guardians, or all?
It's for everybody, Greg, but we did release this we released the document itself back in February 2020, right on the cusp of the pandemic, not knowing what was about to ensue. And so, once COVID-19 hit and school closures, we really had to pull back from engagement with school leaders and teachers and parents and families, given the stress and the circumstances that everybody was under. At that time, we worked with national stakeholder bodies, organisations fed in. So we worked with over 50 of those, and we collected their views on the draft framework. But what we really want to do now is that we want to reopen it. And that's what we have done for the last month back in October. We've reopened this consultation for teachers, school leaders, parents, members of the general public, and very importantly, children. We have a consultation ongoing with children in the coming months on their primary school experiences and what they would like to see in the primary school. So it is a huge opportunity for everybody to have their say in this consultation at the moment.
Obviously things have changed significantly, in terms of our exposure maybe to languages other than English and Irish in national schools. Obviously, since 1999, technology is a very big part of our life. And as I said earlier on, we are more conscious of the importance of diet and exercise. But I presume I shouldn't presume, are some schools, if not many schools, already adapting with the current curriculum, and maybe others are not. Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying is not every school stuck in 1999, I presume. So why is there this need for sort of this change when maybe it's happening organically already?
Yeah, and we're learning lots from schools, Greg, in terms of how they have adapted the 99 curriculum to the needs of their communities. There's no doubt, as you mentioned there, schools have adapted. They've worked with the communities that they serve to serve their needs. And in working with schools, we work with a network of 60 schools currently, actually 2 from North Donegal. I better give a shout out to or I'll get in trouble. Creslow National School and Trenton National School up there in North Donegal. And they've been working with us over the last few years on these proposals. And they've told us of what you've just described, the ways in which they've adapted the 99 curriculum. And we've reflected that in the draft framework. But it's very important to have that in curriculum policy then, Greg, because it gives teachers and school leaders a backstop to which they need to be able to continue that really good learning. And also it gives teachers and school leaders the structure within which they can enhance that learning that they are providing and that direction as well. But there are also new areas that you mentioned there: well-being, physical activity, technology, modern foreign languages are being proposed from 3rd, 6th class. All of those are included in the proposals. There is also education around sustainable development, for instance, that is being introduced into the curriculum or enhanced in the curriculum, and also around an expanded arts education in the curriculum. So introducing things like film and digital media studies into an expanded arts experience for children at primary school as well. So lots of really interesting proposals for people to think about.
Yeah, and much of this requires a significant buy-in from teachers too, of course, and principals.
Yes, it does require buy-in, but it also requires great support for them. And so in the years ahead, as we're working with this curriculum document and developing the specifications for each curriculum area, which will follow in the years ahead, we will be working very closely with the Department of Education and the support services to ensure that the CPD is provided, the resourcing is provided, and the right conditions within the system for this to be introduced. It will be a challenge. Change always involves challenge. It always involves loss of something and a renewal and a learning of something else. So that will take time too.
Is this only within the four walls of the school? Because I mean, I think I would guess that most parents, guardians listening to this conversation today would like homework to be looked at. The blend between the teaching in the school and what's sent home in the evenings. You know, because it's difficult. It's difficult in a new modern world. Everyone's very, very busy. A lot of the stuff parents aren't familiar with, you know, all of those problems. And then, you know, individual children will work better or differently is probably a better way of describing, on their own at the kitchen table. Like, is that something people can input on in here? Like, you know, looking at the problems homework causes versus the benefits it has to the student.
It is, Greg, and we'd be really eager to hear from parents in relation to their experiences of homework. We've actually commissioned a piece of research a number of years ago looking at the use of homework, and we actually found some really innovative practices going on in schools where it's not, as many of us think about, just, you know, a lot of worksheets coming home in the folder for children to work on during the school week, but actually practical activities. Like my own daughter in junior infants this year is coming home and she's being asked to pair her own socks, which is matching.
I could get on board with that.
A bit of housework never goes amiss, as well as actually sorting out the cutlery when you're emptying the dishwasher. Again, sorting. These are all early mathematical activities that help with concept building as well. So we're eager to progress that as well. In terms of NCCA's work, we're not directly involved with homework. Certainly
okay,
that will be expressed in this consultation, we can certainly share.
All right, before the line fails on us, you might, Doctor, let people know how they can get involved in this to look at what's going on, maybe have their input.
Absolutely. So all of our proposals are on our website on ncca.ie/primary, and you can find videos there, you can find presentations, you can find a document itself outlining all of the presentations. If you follow us on social media on ncca_IE on Twitter and Instagram, you can keep up to date with all of the consultation events taking place. The consultation has been open for the last month and will continue until the end of February. But Greg, I know how busy your listeners are. This will fall off people's to-do lists. So if you do have things to say about the primary curriculum, please go on today, tomorrow, whenever you get a chance, and fill in a questionnaire there. There's also written submission forms and templates if people want to put together a larger written submission. It takes about 5 minutes to fill in our questionnaire, so please take the time to do so there.
All right, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it greatly. That was Dr. Patrick Sullivan, Deputy Chief Executive of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. It's there for you if you wish to get involved. Hi, Greg. Definitely two hard-hitting documentaries in RTE1 last night regarding Ward of Court and missing children, but I don't know if you saw Missing Children on ITV UTV, as it was across the whole ITV network on Sunday night. I was checking the ITV site for info as I couldn't find info on RTE. I am no help to you there, I'm afraid. Same issues as the last listener, difficult walking, problems with leg and neck, they say. Another, the school my child goes to, huge outbreak of COVID, more than half of the children at home. So many positive cases in all classes. If these schools don't close when cases are so high, it definitely increases cases in the community and vulnerable at home. But the reality is possibly, if you look at the amount of cases identified in schools, they're so low, those cases will probably be counted as household cases and not school cases. Another caller says, is Charlie McConnell going to show his support for Micah families and make it clear where his loyalties lie with the people of the government? He is a minister, of course, and it would be pretty much unprecedented, open to correction, if he were going, if it doesn't go my way, you know, I'm quitting government or quitting the party. I'm not sure he has the same latitude as a Joe McHugh might have, but last time he was on with us, he said he's 100% committed to 100% redress, so maybe we can read between the lines. Caller got the Pfizer vaccine in February, has suffered vertigo since, has been in hospital, and also GP doctors are saying that it could be an unknown side effect from the vaccine, suffers from these symptoms still. As I say, there are quite a bit of information there as it relates to vaccine injuries, as they're more generally required. That's one I haven't come across. Callers say she spent 3 hours trying to call a GP's office in Letterkenny, eventually had to drive down to the surgery in order to make the appointment. The lady at reception didn't want to see them in person. Said they need to make an appointment. So how come you can get it into a nightclub but you can't get in to see your own doctor? My husband had COVID at Christmas, got over it fine, got the vaccine a few weeks ago and ended up in hospital with what Mary is explaining. Could someone please tell me what's going on with doctors? I phoned 7 times yesterday, had 2 phoned twice this morning, still have to wait on a callback time. HSE did something about it. The GPs are it's up to themselves how they operate their practices, I believe. Right. Hi, Greg. I can't believe the conditions the staff in the COVID test centre at St. Connell's are working in, standing on cement in such a drafty place. They are working in. Can't believe that health and safety would allow this, and had insult to injury. Drove out of the test centre and straight into a large pothole. Feel sorry for the staff. Thanks, Greg. Love the show. I think I know that pothole you talk of. I suppose if you're dealing with people that are, 15% positive with COVID, it's going to be drafty, isn't it? In terms of the flooring, I don't know what the story is there. Morning, Greg. After 6 weeks, we got confirmation that our home is Micah. Last week, our house insurance was up. Normally, we pay €513 every year, which seems incredibly high. Our quote for insurance now, €1,500 for the same cover, but have to submit our 185-page Micah report. We've been told this is for inside cover only. So we're paying €1,000 more for less cover. I feel like we once again are being made financially liable for something that happened, which we had no control over and had no responsibility for. Now, my experience of house insurance is $300-400, isn't they're being charged €1,500 for contents insurance because they have Micah. The insurance company's not covering. I mean, would you be covered in the event of a fire? Perhaps you could get back and let us know. I mean, with this cover that you're being offered, €1,500, what happens if the house goes on fire? God forbid, but you know what I mean. Let us know. What have they told you what that would mean? Because that's the kind of stuff we're insuring our houses for, isn't it? The worst case scenario, but let us know.
Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
When someone's having a stroke, minutes matter, because 2 million brain cells die every minute after a stroke. So call 112 or 999 for medical help fast if you ever see any of these FAST symptoms. F for face, has it fallen on one side? A for arms, can both be held up? S for speech, is it slurred? T for time, it's time to call 112 or 999 fast. A message from the Irish Heart Foundation, supported by Pfizer and Bristol Myers Squibb. Learn more at irishheart.ie.
Click and Collect is now available at your nearest Tesco. Get your shopping freshly clicked and freshly picked, ready for you to park and pick up outside the store. Shop online and book your slot for free today at tesco.ie. Tesco. Every little helps.
At Liquid Therapy here in Donegal, we enable young people who need that little bit of extra time and support to experience the benefits of surfing and being in the ocean. Thanks to the Begin Together Fund, Liquid Therapy can be here for the families who need us.
Bank
of Ireland's Begin Together programme supports people and community groups across the country with a vision, passion and drive to make things better. Because we believe tomorrow will be better if we begin together.
It's November Madness at Crawford Tiles and More Castlefin for 1 week only. There's 20% off all tiles in stock, 10% off all bathware, and 5% off carpet and vinyls. Fitters and delivery service available. That's Crawford's Mad Giveaway Sale for 1 week only. Ends Wednesday the 10th of November. Call 9143942.
Are you looking for a full-time permanent job in Donegal? As Zeus in Letterkenny continues to grow, machine operators are now wanted to join their production team. Go to workatzeus.com to apply. Zeus is a family-owned company that puts people first. They offer competitive pay and benefits and a fantastic work environment. To learn how you can join the Zeus team, visit workatzeus.com today. That's workatzeus.com.
Christmas is well underway at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Park for free and get everything you need. Thank you for shopping with us this Christmas. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
Now the time is 10:33. Grandson Oisín McCrenra, Drumore Kilmacrennan. Happy birthday, Oisín, from Granny and Grandad in church, and Auntie Dennis in England. Happy birthday, Mary Stewart, Kerry Keel. A big birthday today, big enough, 50th. I was trying to avoid saying 50th birthday in case they would mind, and then I said big, so I thought, well, it's not that big, isn't it? So I better go in with the 50th. Happy birthday, Mary, either way. You're celebrating your 50th birthday today. From Wendy, Ronan, Kira, Dara and Ava in Fanad. We'll be back with more after the script. Okay, that is the script. We're going to be talking about e-scooters after we take this quick break. Stay where you are.
Get your tyres winter ready. Drop into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Farmers know all about running a busy operation. They have their own instincts to help, of course, as well as centuries of experience handed down from one generation to the next. And then there's new ideas and innovations that are helping farmers work smarter today and safeguarding their farms for tomorrow. AXA Smart Farm Insurance is here to help too. In fact, it's the only policy where you can benefit from discounts of up to 30% if you have a low claims record. For a quote, search axa.ie/farm. AXA. Know you can. Terms and conditions apply. Claims free in your farm for the past 3 years. Windscreen claims are excluded. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Make Christmas for everyone this year at Dunnes Stores. Get your celebration started with 20% off wine and champagne. Give guests a reason to stay longer with tubs of chocolates like Cadbury Heroes, Roses and Quality Street, only €4 each. And for the perfect festive treat, mix and match any 3 for €5 across a range of medium selection boxes. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop with €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 20 kg Super Therm, buy 5 bags, get 1 bag of hardwood logs free. 10 kg wood pellets, buy 10, get 1 free. Board Namona briquettes, buy 3 for €16. Shop in-store or online at homeland.ie.
At Boots, our biggest ever Black Friday event is now on with a whole month of amazing deals. This week, incredible better than half-price savings on some of your favourite brands, including Number 7, Soap & Glory and Marc Jacobs, now available with many more deals in-store and online. Boots, bags of joy. Selected stores offer in 16th November. See boots.ie for details.
Applications are now open for the Donegal Enterprise Awards, hosted by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. The awards celebrate the diversity and strength of the small business community in Donegal and the role they play in our local economy. A prize fund of €12,000 will be awarded across 7 different categories. This is an excellent opportunity to promote and showcase your businesses. All finalists will be profiled and attend the award ceremony in December. Apply before the 15th of November at localenterprise.ie/Donegal. Email info@leo.donegalcoco.ie for more information or call the Local Enterprise Office on 9160735.
All right, Matthew, thanks for holding. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Right, now you are an e-scooter user. Now, my understanding is at this stage, we're in the process of changing the laws as it relates to e-scooters and their use. But you use yours. What's your experience on the roads?
Terrible.
Why is that?
Aggressive drivers, and there's one road in particular, the De Valera by the fire station. I commute down that there 3 mornings a week at around 9 o'clock, and there'd be cars overtaking me, and it's really dangerous and scary for me, and I think there's going to be a serious bang someday, and anyone listening to this who might have been doing that overtaking, I think you're mad in the head.
And do you think you're treated with less respect on the roads compared to a cyclist, or do you think they encounter the same problems?
Yeah, getting a lot of aggressive hand gestures and movements and middle fingers and people rolling down the windows and effing me off and the works. And the e-scooter laws have actually changed in the country.
Just not yet, Matthew, though. I just want to make sure we don't put up wrong information there. They're due to change, but they just have not changed as of yet.
That's my bad.
Yeah, but that's be that as it may. You're out on the road. People are abusive towards you. You're saying. I mean, there's no excuse for being abusive to another person, is there?
I don't think so. No.
Right. Okay. Do you have lights on your scooter? Do you wear a helmet?
So, maybe a bit less than I should.
Right. Okay.
I do have all the equipment.
So there's a bit of work to be done on both parties, you're saying, going forward, particularly when, we're going to see more, when legislation changes, we're going to see more scooters on the road. We are going to have to get used to sharing the space, I think, Matthew.
Yeah, well, I've actually pulled in along the top of the De Valera and let cars pass on, before I actually went down.
Yeah, but you're saying it's not been a very pleasurable experience. Okay, listen, Matthew, thank you very much for that. It's just a fellow road user. Keep an ear and eye out for each other, politely, I suppose. Greg, if you don't have COVID and don't have symptoms, then you won't spread it. I'm not vaccinated for several reasons. I have had COVID and have recovery cert, but I don't agree with enforced segregation and discrimination. We saw how certain guidelines and restrictions can be changed to suit important individuals. Indeed, and it is, listen... I think we can accept those that are unhappy with the way things are more motivated to contact programs like this. I have seen on one particular website it being mentioned that we're talking about this and to get in contact. So obviously those very opposed to this are maybe more likely to have their say. If you're happy with the way things are too, have your say. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Freddie, good morning.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Okay, just what about yourself?
I'm struggling, thanks be to God.
Right, well, both of us are middling by the sounds of it.
What do you hear this, Greg, before we start?
Go on.
Just bear with me. Now, whenever she goes back on to say that there's nobody available, that's going on now since 9:05 this morning.
So you are on hold live speaking to me. Who are you trying to get through to?
The driving, I got a letter there yesterday, basically back from the licensing authority. Now, my license was up last year, and I had applied to get them. Now, this is the first word I had back from: urgent attention required. So I tried filling in all the bits and pieces through the email address which was given, and I got maybe about 5 different codes to put into the thing. Eventually I said I couldn't get it. They couldn't get the thing finished. So what I did then this morning was I got up this morning and tried ringing them. Couldn't get through, and that was 9 o'clock. I said then try later.
So you're trying to renew your licence?
Yeah, this is for the last 12 months.
Okay, now there was a bit of a stay on renewal of licence, was there?
That's right enough. That's right enough. All of that, I didn't mind all of that, but I'm only trying to get through to Letterkenny office. And the bottom of that, it says it keeps going on. Now you have to make an appointment. To make this appointment, you have to ring this number 0818 919
And that's the number you're on since 9 o'clock this morning?
9:10 to be exact. I decided to just keep a record just to see how long it would take me to get through. Now, my mobile's on that number now since 9:10. What I did do then is I went and I phoned the same number, well, a different number now, on the same line. I must have got through to Delhi or somewhere. And he was apologising for the wait and all the rest of it. Now, I'm still waiting.
So what are you looking to do? What are you looking to speak to them about? Like, when you chat to them, what are you going to say to them, Freddie?
It's very simple. All I want is my driver's licence. I have to go to Letterkenny to get it renewed. That's it. All I'm looking for is a date. It says that you must make an appointment. Now, the appointment...
So you're on this phone call trying to get an appointment in Letterkenny to just go in and renew your licence, and that's what all this delay is about?
This is basically all it's about. Eddie here.
I can hear.
Our advisors are currently on calls.
Yeah, they're flat out.
If you do not wish to make a booking for an NTLS centre...
That's all I'm listening to. And that's... I'm going to wait now until 11 just to see.
You can give it the 2 hours.
Now, that's my mobile, so I'll say that if that's the battery will be down in it. But if that's how they're conducting themselves... Now, if I'm stopped with the Gardaí is going to look up their files and they're going to say, well, this man's without a licence. Now, I had filled in the application, paid for everything last year. And as you say, there was a delay in everything. This is now, they're saying, because that delay is over and done with, I must contact this number or fill in the application via the email. Tried all of that. Everything bounced back to me. So it said the only other option would be to phone this number. Phone this number. this is what I'm getting these last 2 hours. So if I was stopped now and I was taken to court, the point is I'd be found guilty. And legally speaking, I had no driver's license until this actually...
Let's listen to what they're saying there.
Yeah. No, that's what they would be saying.
But let me hear what she's saying on the phone there.
NTLS censure, but of a driving licence query, please press 1. For more information, including information on how to apply online for your learner permit or driver licence, please visit www.ndls.ie for more information. Alternatively, continue to hold to speak to one of our advisors.
Right, you just want to speak to a human, Freddie. No, the music's begun. Freddie?
That's it. Now the music will come on.
Right.
That's what I'm listening to.
Have you tried pressing 1 to see what happens, or...?
I tried pressing a whole lot of them, and I even tried a different number.
Yeah.
I waited until I went through to 6 to speak to an advisor.
Uh-huh.
And the advisor I spoke to must have been around India or somewhere.
Well, they could be from anywhere. They just could be living here, but I'll take your point, Freddie.
No, this was... I actually asked...
Oh, it was all right, it was an external call centre,
yeah.
Okay. Right, so you're going to give it till 11:10, then what?
Then I'm going to go to Letterkenny. I would say the guards are going to arrest me or something.
No, I think...
All I'm trying to do is find out what the issue is. You're not allowed in.
You want to book an appointment to go in and get a new licence.
That's basically it.
You're not
nothing more, nothing less.
Have you got all the forms needed?
I've got everything. I've even got the doctor's report.
Wow, okay.
You know, I've got everything because I'm at that age now where they need it.
He checked everything on your grand.
No, I've everything. Everything's...
You've got the NCT, now you just need the licence. You got the NCT from the doctor. Yeah, okay.
And the only thing, this other thing only lasts for a month. And that'll cost me another €50.
Yeah, I get you. Right.
Like I say, everything's paid for.
Okay, so tell us the number you dialed there, just in case someone has a different number for you, Freddie. What number did you dial there?
Just bear with me one second. It's 0818
Yeah.
919
Yes.
090.
I hope it's a free phone number. It is it?
It isn't, I don't think so, no.
Oh, my word. Okay.
It would cost me a fortune, but
we could have you on next week talking about
I'll be suing them.
I was going to say we could have you on next week talking about your phone bill. Hopefully that's not...
You're worse than me, Craig.
Don't worry about everything, Freddie. I'm worrying about you now.
Oh, no, God, don't worry about me.
All right.
This is just in my nature, just to provoke the system.
Well, you're not doing a great job. You're just listening to them provoke you.
No, they did earlier on now, but it doesn't bother me now because I know they're not going to answer it. It's basically after 2 hours. You know, I can't see why, because if you go down to the office, they're going to say you have to ring us. Then they're going to say you have to fill in this. It actually says urgent attention required. Now, you'd think if they said this, that they would nearly answer the phone to you at least.
Yeah.
It's just that the public needs to know, and I would say there's an awful lot.
And the serious side to this, though, is that you're trying to comply with the law here. You've got all your documentation. You want to be in compliance with the law, so you have your licence. And I think, say, for instance, Freddie, you had to pick someone up from the airport in Belfast tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
You don't want to be driving, of course, without a licence, but... right, let's see if Ewan can beat you're currently 1 hour and 40 minutes on the phone. Ewan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, he's 1 hour 40. Can you top that?
I can. It was actually 3 hours.
3 hours. Did you get in touch with him at the end?
I was an hour and a half on the mobile and an hour and a half on the house phone.
Right.
And ringing. And I went down to the office in Letterkenny to the lady that deals with the driving licence in Letterkenny, the applications. And well, that shouldn't be happening. I says, I know it shouldn't, but it is.
Yeah.
I says, now I've just spent 3 hours between the house phone and the mobile. I says, how long do you wait, to get through to a number? I says, obviously this number's not working. It's just it's recording, and it just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, there's no way it could be that busy. That it's going to be 3 hours. But anyway, what I done at the end up was I went down to the driving licence lady again, and I went in and I told her. Well, she says, now I have 2 free spots here the day, 3 o'clock and a half, 4. Does any of that suit you? I said, that'll be fine. She says, well, come. What time suits you? I said 3 o'clock. She said, I went down at 3 o'clock, and we sorted out her photograph and form and everything. And I got my license in the fortnight.
Well, okay, that's the local service for you if you can get at them. All right, brilliant stuff, Ewan. Fair play to you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ewan. If you'd had that second slot, Freddie, you'd have been flying. But hopefully now, if you call down, they'll be able to manually give you an appointment, because it's not fair what people are having to go through spending so long. It's like you've got this image of an empty office, at the back of a warehouse, and this solitary phone sitting on a desk ringing. That's what it must feel like for you, because... Is anyone actually answering the phones? Freddie, listen, let us know how you get on.
I will indeed, and thanks very much, Greg. That other gentleman now has given me at least an option to go down and find out about it.
Yeah, well, you're going to get down anyway, weren't you?
So I appreciate you taking the call now. There's going to be an awful lot of frustrated people.
Well, of course. I mean, you're pretty relaxed. I feel bad leaving you listening to that message on your own. I feel like I should stay with you to 10 past 11.
No, take it from me. I expect this whenever something to do with the government.
Yeah.
But it just shows you, whenever they send you out these letters, because everything's paid for last year. My driver's license, everything. It's just they needed this other form, and we tried yesterday to send it to them, and it can't be sent to them via the email. So you have to hand it to them in as an individual, and let them sort it out from there.
Yeah, even if they had a bit of Declan Ernie playing or something, there might.
Well, honest to God, this here, that's it. There's just that's all you get. But I'm wondering, could you make up a tune out of it?
I don't think you want to hear any more of it. Let us know how you get on, Freddie. All right.
I will indeed, and thanks very much, Greg.
Fair play to you. Okay, thank you. No problem, Freddie. So that's Freddie trying to get through. As you heard from Ewan there, when he was speaking to people actually in the office in Letterkenny, they were really helpful towards him. But people are ringing this 0818 telephone number and not getting through. He's on it since 10 past 9. It's 7 minutes to 11. I renewed my father's licence last year online. He's 73, no problem at all. Freddie tried. It's not working for him. Is it possible that, not everyone, and I'm speaking of Freddie here, is it possible, though, that everyone, is not going to be able to successfully fill out, even applying for a passport renewal? It's not simple online, so it's not going to be for everyone. Okay, more on the way.
Winter is coming. Get your tyres winter ready. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
At AIB, we don't make technology for you to bank. We make it for you to live.
Just watch.
So you can apply and get a loan through your AIB app or online.
Knocking this out like it ain't no thing.
All from the comfort of home. Banking to fit the way you live. AIB. We back doing. Lender criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only, subject to approval. Security may be required. Allied Irish Banks PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Oh, my favourite.
That's Miss Murphy. She's just opened her M&S app and seen that she's got a little treat just for being a loyal M&S customer. Not only that, but every time she shops with Sparks, she's in with a chance to get her entire shop for free.
Yum! Nut.
You've got some sugar around your mouth? There. No, just there. Yeah, now you're good. Sparks, the new reward scheme from M&S. Good things happen every time you shop. Join today in the M&S app. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. For details, see marksandSpencer.ie.
This is a big gift for small business from On Post Commerce. This is up to 11% off stamp packs and 34% off parcel labels. These savings are available to Advantage Card customers. To order yours free, see onpost.com or visit your post office. And we'll send you a card for Christmas. But hurry, offers end December 31st. On Post Commerce. A world closer. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you troubled with painful varicose veins? Restore your confidence with vein treatment at Kingsbridge Private Hospital, Letterkenny. Our vascular consultants offer assessment, advice and options on the latest treatments available. So why wait? Say goodbye to varicose veins and hello to healthy legs. With appointments available, why not book your consultation today? Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.ie to find out more. Because life matters.
If you're not back in the office yet, why not treat yourself to a spot of lunch today at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny? Break away from the kitchen table and have lunch served to you at this award-winning family diner. Rediscover lunchtime at Kelly's Diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. They're closer than you think.
Highland Radio weather updates with National Fuels Letterkenny. For a keen price on your home heating oil, call National Fuels on 9137 400.
Okay, a lot of dry weather with sunny spells, some well-scattered showers around too. Temperatures today 10 to 12 degrees. Now, a Dáil committee recommendation that a moratorium be placed on advertising baby formula has provoked fury in Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Fine Gael Senator Tim Lombard angrily denounced the Media and Culture Committee and said that it was an extraordinary, disproportionate decision. Jan Crombie is local leader with LYIT League in Donegal and joins us on the programme. Thank you for joining us and good morning to you, Jan.
Good morning, Greg.
Are you in favour of this or do you understand what is the reason behind these proposals?
Yes, I mean, I'm baffled by the response from the people you mentioned because all it's talking about is banning the advertising. Sales will still continue. Mothers will be able to buy the formula that they have always bought or that they plan to buy. So I'm not sure why the gentlemen are getting so
Why would we be banning the advertising of it, though, Jan?
Well, most advertising for baby formula is not scientifically based, and often it's appealing to a sentiment rather than to the actual scientific value of the formula. So there was one well-known one a few years ago where the beginning of the adverts, black and white line drawing of a mother breastfeeding her baby. And then it's when you choose to move on and it's multicolour and there are birds singing and butterflies. And, you know, the thing is, oh, well, if you're breastfeeding, it's going to be grim. But once you're using formula, everything in the garden is literally lovely.
I get the feeling, though, that, like, you know, I feel bad now for giving baby formula if it's, you know, if it's a product that we don't really want to be advertising. You know, a lot of people might be having that emotion here. Well, what did we do something terribly wrong?
No, I don't think anybody needs to feed bad. People make their own decisions. There are a small percentage of mothers who can't breastfeed, physically can't breastfeed. There's another small percentage who may have to take medication, which may mean they can't breastfeed. And there's a percentage of mothers who choose to breastfeed, and that is their choice, and they should be absolutely supported in that choice. But there's a difference between supporting women in their choice to breastfeed and encouraging them by information which is not correct or which comes from studies which are done inside your own lab. So if I say Jan Crummie's formula is the best because it shows this, and that, but Jan Crummie has done all the research, then that's not exactly unbiased.
Right, so would it not be then, given the fact that it is widely used, Jan, would it not be better that we have more scrutiny of it, more scrutiny of its testing, you know, independent studies and evaluations? Because,
yes,
you know, I would be more comfortable with that than just simply not seeing adverts, because I'm still going to see the wonderful packaging on the aisles.
Well, the packaging would be plain packaging, probably with just the name on it. I mean, there are other countries who have done this.
It's
and
confusing
at the moment,
because that's how we treat cigarettes.
You don't expect me to say that formula is like tobacco.
No, I know, of course I don't. Not for a second. I'm on about my genuine, normal human emotion. I'm not trying to ask a probing journalistic question, but plain packaging, the last time we talked about that was about cigarettes, and we know how harmful and deadly we are. This is all brand new to me. I'm trying to process this as we talk. It seems a huge leap to go to banning advertising of something which is so widely used and selling it in plain packaging. Do you get me?
Currently, it is not permitted to advertise formula under the age of 6 months. It's sold in its normal packaging, but it's not advertised. So the formula companies then brought out follow-on milks, which they can advertise. So it's getting around, and the formula milk cartons are very similar. So stage 1 might be what they call the first 6 months. The next stage, stage 2, looks very, very similar to stage 1. And of course, it's permitted to advertise the next stage and the follow-on milks and so on and so on. And they want brand loyalty, but they not only want brand loyalty, they want other mothers who are currently breastfeeding to move to formula. So it's undermining breastfeeding. What there needs to be is parity of esteem. So maybe what we should be doing is advertising breastfeeding more. But hey, there's no money to be made out of advertising breastfeeding.
Right, okay. It's interesting.
There's money to be saved, Greg, because babies who are breastfed tend to have less of the common problems like diarrhea and some of the chest infections, ear infections and so on. It's not a magic bullet. It doesn't prevent them entirely, but there are less risks. But there's no money to be made from it, whereas there is a great deal of money to be made out of persuading mothers to buy Formula Brand A versus Formula Brand B versus Formula Brand C.
And finally, just before the news, which will be a little bit late, my apologies, it's not then beyond the realms of possibility that we have baby milk formula companies lobbying RTDs on these proposals then, because, they don't want the golden goose to be shot.
Of course they are. And I mean, I read what I think it was the senator said about, or maybe it was the TD, about attacking the dairy industry. Formula will still be made. This will make no difference to the dairy industry. Absolutely no difference. The milk will be made into milk powder. It will be sold in Ireland, or it will be sold to China, which I noticed was one of the countries he mentioned. And that's not going to change whether we ban advertising or reduce advertising or have stricter controls on it.
Jackie Cahill TD said, on what grounds in the name of Jerusalem was this decision made? It's proven beyond any doubt that milk formula is an entirely appropriate part of a balanced diet. There's huge international demand. That was his scientific review of these proposals.
I'm not sure of Jackie Cahill's scientific background. And in fairness, I do not have a scientific background. My background is as a breastfeeding supporter, and my role is to support mothers who choose to breastfeed, and indeed to help them when they decide to move on to formula, to talk them through how to drop breastfeeds and, introduce formula feeds. I don't have a role in persuading mothers who want to formula feed that they must breastfeed. I do not do that.
All right. Thanks for your time, Jan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, that was Jan Crombie there, local leader with Elect League. As I say, sorry if I'm ignorant and I should know all of these things, but that came out of the blue to me, and a steep learning curve. Thanks to Jan for that. It's 3 minutes past 11. It's time for a news update, and it is good morning to Michaela Clark. Good morning, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh has said he will have to reconsider his position within Fine Gael if a MICA redress scheme that is not fair and accessible to all homeowners doesn't get over the line. Details on an enhanced redress scheme following months of discussions were due yesterday, but it's been delayed and now expected to be revealed within the coming weeks. Deputy McHugh has said while it would be a difficult decision to make, he cannot back a scheme that is half-baked. A teenage boy has been left terrified to leave his home after being badly beaten during an unprovoked attack in Strabane last weekend. 14-year-old Thomas left his friend's home at around 12:30 in the early hours of Saturday morning to make the short walk to his home in the Ballycoman area when he was set upon by a man who police are describing as being in his late 20s with a beard and about 5'4" in height, who is believed to have been wearing a dark hoodie at the time of the attack. On the 9 till noon show earlier today, Thomas's aunt Geraldine McElroy appealed to anyone with information to contact police. There are 551 COVID patients in hospital today, the highest figure since the end of February. 73 people with the virus have been admitted since yesterday, with 38 discharges. Last night at Letterkenny University Hospital, there were 22 patients with COVID, 2 of them in ICU. Meanwhile, Letterkenny University Hospital is the second most overcrowded hospital in the country this morning, with 46 people waiting on a bed. 15 people are on trolleys in the emergency department, while 31 are waiting on wards elsewhere in the hospital. A Donegal deputy has clashed in the Dáil with Taoiseach Micheál Martin after the Environment Minister Eamon Ryan appointed 2 close colleagues as members of the Climate Change Advisory Council. Deputy Padraig McLaughlin has asked the Taoiseach when and if Minister Ryan will outline the process of the appointments. And 40 new jobs are to be created in Derry. Global company Aqua Q, which currently employs 230 people, is to launch new offices in Derry. The Mayor of Derry City and Strabane District Council, Graham Mork, says the high-value jobs in the software development sector are welcome news not only for the city, but the wider North West City region. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Michaela. We'll be back with more on the programme after the break.
Be
Beat the cost of Brexit and no customs charges. Do you need a UK address? For your limited company or personal use, Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own virtual office or mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. Also brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock. Ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook or spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for details.
Here's some good news, Ireland. From now on, our recycling bins can be used for all plastics. Yes, even soft plastics. Just make sure everything is clean, dry and loose so it can all be sorted properly. Which means that together we can try to recycle even more and continue our journey to being more sustainable. So pop all your plastics in your recycling bin. See mywaste.ie for more, brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
If you're experiencing an unplanned pregnancy, there is someone you can talk to. My Options is a HSC service that offers confidential counselling and information. We're here to listen and guide you through all your options, including support to continue a pregnancy, as well as information on abortion services. We can also support you if a planned pregnancy becomes a crisis over time. Talk to a counsellor online at myoptions.ie or free phone 1800 828 010 from the HSE.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Do you require temporary staff for the Christmas period? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our 70,000 daily listeners about your vacancies. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
The Citroen Open Week is now on at Highland Motors in Letterkenny. Call in and see the full range, including the C3 Super Mini, the C3 Aircross SUV, and the all-new C4 Crossover, which is available in petrol, diesel, and 100% electric with a range of 350 kilometres. There's probably the most comfortable SUV on the market, the C5 Aircross, which is still available to order in diesel. And not forgetting the award-winning Grand Space Tourer 7-seater, with great offers available on all models. Order during Open Week and you'll get 3 years free servicing. Terms and conditions apply. Call into the Citroen Open Week this week at Highland Motors, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
If you are aged 70 or over, you will soon be offered a COVID-19 vaccine booster dose. This is because cases are starting to increase in this age group. Your booster dose will give you the best possible protection against serious illness from COVID-19. You should get it around 6 months after your last COVID-19 vaccine. Your GP will contact you when it's time for your vaccine. For more information, visit hsc.ie or call HSE Live on 1800 700 700. From the HSE.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, and it's time for Wellness Wednesday now, our regular feature on your physical and mental well-being. We bring it to you every Wednesday after 11 o'clock, and our focus today is on dementia. A little later on, we're going to be speaking to Dawn Thompson, Alzheimer's Society of Ireland's dementia advisor for Donegal. They've got a brand new service for the county, and we'll be speaking to Dawn about how it might help you either now or perhaps into the future, and what services are offered and what supports are offered. And I spoke to Dawn a little earlier, so I know that hopefully it'll be a very informative conversation for you. Now, I'm joined on the programme by Mary Toland, who is a carer of husband Dermot, who has dementia. Good morning to you, Mary. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning, Greg.
And how are you keeping, and how's Dermot?
We're keeping well. We're sort of getting there, as they say. Okay. We're both very early on this journey because Dermot's diagnosis was just a year ago.
So can you tell us about maybe the early indications, Mary, that you and Dermot began to spot?
Yeah. Well, for Dermot, the early indications were language, glitches in his language. He would forget words, or in conversation, he would sort of lose the thread. Now, it was very easily confused with the symptoms of depression. So we were on that route of, depression, anxiety, but Dermot felt there was more to it than that. And he would have been much more aware of what was happening than I was at the time. He would have been more noticing and would have been doing a bit of research. Getting that diagnosis was a bit of a journey. We actually had to do a lot of research because this all coincided with COVID. So, I was looking, we didn't know what it was. He wasn't presenting as having typical Alzheimer's. He has frontotemporal lobe Alzheimer's, which it presents differently. So it was confusing for, GPs and that to sort of call what it was, and then they can't diagnose. And in doing a lot of research on the internet, I discovered that a lot of stuff was coming up, was like the whole Donegal area was coming up as a blank for help or for services in your area. And I'm just reaching out everywhere. We went to Dublin to the memory clinic in James's.
But did you feel at that point before we start that you had no alternative, as you say, when you paint a vivid image there of what seemed at the time this vacuum of services, this where do you go, who do you speak to, it must have felt very lonely.
It did, yeah. Well, we were referred to Letterkenny, and Dermot had an MRI scan, but apparently this particular type of Alzheimer's doesn't get picked up. He obviously hadn't got vascular dementia.
And just at that time, Mary, were you told that scan was inconclusive, or were you told it wasn't dementia? Because obviously
we were told it wasn't dementia, and to look at depression and anxiety, because a lot of the symptoms were similar. And of course there was depression, of course there was anxiety, but both of us knew there was something underlying that.
Right, okay, so, that's a right gunk, though, to sort of been told that it's not something you fear, but eventually down the road you're going to find out that it was. Right, take us then to Dublin. Was this all stuff that you had to pursue yourself, by the way, to say, right, we believe there's something going on here, we're going to have to go to Dublin to pursue it further, yeah?
Yeah, I did an awful lot of research online. And again, there's a lot of stuff that you come across. There's a whole quagmire of stuff that you think, oh, there's this, there's that, there's that. And then when you read to the bottom, you discover that the services aren't really there to support diagnosing and follow-up. And James's seemed to be the only memory clinic with a full suite of services that go with it. So we went privately to James's and was diagnosed very quickly. It was all very quickly spotted. He had a PET scan there, and that's what clarified it. And again, the diagnosis came via blue eye on screen. But in one way it was devastating, and in another way, Dermot actually said it was a relief to know, because without a diagnosis and with vague symptoms, nobody can do anything, and you can't look for help and say, I think he has dementia. You can't, unless you have an actual diagnosis. And anyone who's worried, I would say that would be your first port of call, is to try and get an actual diagnosis, because then you can start working from there.
Right. So how quickly is this progressing with Dermot?
It's progressing noticeably. It stops and starts, and the language. He was going to join me in this, but I think he would be embarrassed because he might start to say something and then stop midway.
I understand that, but he wouldn't need to be. But I understand that.
But it's a very basic communication skill. We take so much for granted, these things that we do every day. So that was, now we did get fantastic advice from the consultant in James's, and again, it's basically his job was done in the diagnosing, but to contact the Alzheimer's Society, and they have been a lifeline. They just have kept us afloat. They immediately sent us out a pack with all sorts of information of how to deal with it, how to, what to pursue, practical tips, and that helped us, and everything was in bite-sized pieces that we could take on board as we went through it. So it was presented very well. Found that very, very helpful. And then they did offer a course, a carer's course, and I did a 6-week carer course online.
Because of course we're talking about Dermot, Mary, but you're with that diagnosis in advance, but with that blue screen diagnosis you referred to, your life changed at that moment? You also know that things are different for you now going forward.
Yes, it has put both of us on a different track.
And that takes a bit of processing, doesn't it?
It does. It does take a lot of processing. There's a lot of things I've had to put to one side because, like, basically I'd say I'm a full-time carer, and a lot of things that I would have planned in my life or things I thought I would be doing, I just have to shelve.
And in terms of helping Dermot to process this and helping you as well, our support's there for that. Does that form part of the support from the Alzheimer's Society, or is that something that we need to work on? Because, if you grew up with this, say you grew up with it, it would be, you could learn to live with it and it'd be your normal and all this type of stuff. But, Dermot's lived 70 years and then this has changed. You're mature as well. This is like a change in direction almost immediately. Is there help for you and for him, to support you through that mentally, I wonder?
Most of the help has been online help. Because of COVID, that has been a massive complication. But there had been a lack of anything on the ground in Donegal. And I would have been in despair looking at some of the HSE sites and sort of looking for services in my area, and things would come up with no results. And it was like, we're this blank bit on the map. And that's part of the reason that I'd agreed to do this interview too, is to just bring it out there and say there are people in need and we need services. And to have to go to Dublin for a diagnosis is a bit, it's a bit much when you're already in a kind of crisis situation. So
just that journey, the parking, the getting into it, the where do we go, the unfamiliarity, the strange. I know it. On the wider scale of things, it might seem much, but it's a journey you would dread. You would be, you'd be scarred by it almost.
Well, it's an added stress when you're already stressed.
You talked of Dermot's difficulties with his speech, but he has another language, and that's the language of music, and that's a great benefit.
That has been the sort of the social outlet and the support. Like his brother and his sister are both very involved in music, and Dermot always played with his brother, and that ability to accompany his brother playing is it's still there. So during COVID, we managed to keep a bubble with Dermot's brother and his wife.
Lovely.
And we live in West Donegal, and we could travel over to East Donegal, and we both sort of kept that bubble for each other, and it kept the music going, and that's fantastic.
In terms of deciding, what Dermot can and can't do, like Dermot can still drive, and you say you still plays the music, and then you talk about his speech. Are you helped in terms of how to test for all of that? What's the right thing to do? What's not the right thing to do? Do you get where I'm coming from? It sounds like it's a minefield there.
It is a minefield. We did get advice too, from the consultant in Dublin as well. The first thing was basically get your affairs in order, and that's a bit of a shocker as well. Yeah. But it was actually excellent advice, because you do have to deal with these things. It's just you prefer to be ready for it, but you do have to deal with it, and we managed to deal with that. The driving was a bit more complicated, because even negotiating that, where do you look? We weren't getting a lot of feedback, because you were phoning the licensing
and DSL, yeah,
and you were in all these various sort of avenues, and there were just phone lines, and due to COVID, and you were on these loops. And eventually we discovered that the Wheelchair Society in Letterkenny, they have a driver who will do disability driving test, and he'd had Dermot out on the road for 45 minutes around Letterkenny, and he's actually a safe driver. That just seems to have stayed.
Yeah.
Now that is something that'll be reviewed yearly.
Of course, understand.
But just the relief of knowing, because you don't want to be taking things away from people. Everything you lose is just something else that's gone.
Mary, do you feel a lot of pressure to be happy and healthy? Do you find yourself worrying, you're worried about Dermot, but you must be worried about yourself, that you can be the thankfully happy and healthy that you are now, that you can be that person. Does it worry you or scare you, or do you allow yourself to think, I think that's how I might feel, like what happens to me, you know? What happens to Dermot if something happens to me? Does that worry you, or...?
Well, that would be a concern, because I realise I'm the linchpin here holding everything together. And I've just recently been diagnosed with arrhythmia, which I've never had, and it's purely stress related. So I'm now on medication for that, which I'm a healthy person. And it's just purely, I'm like collateral damage. And, you know, but I'm aware, and I would go, my GP is very good, you know, and I would sort of discuss things, and I would be careful of minding my own health for both of us.
But the stress and the pressures, it's taken its toll.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we wish you all the best, obviously, with that. So in terms of, obviously full of praise for the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland and what they do, just talk to me again, because as you say, it was the motivation for you taking part in this. Talk to me about the gaps. Where are the gaps? And everyone's probably going to have a different experience, but from your experience, where are the gaps that we need to plug, Mary?
I suppose local care centres, I mean, everything does end up with, like, our public health nurses end up with everything, you know, they're basically fix everything people. And, you know, they're overloaded. There really should be maybe courses that nurses can do that will maybe specialise in dementia care and dementia treatment, and maybe give them an increment or a sort of an incentive to be involved in that. But I suppose too, COVID is complicated too. There were social clubs where you could go and chat to people, and now, but that has gone online again. And again, we take part in this Alzheimer's social club, which was set up by Patricia McMonigal. And again, it's a link. You're meeting other people in similar circumstances. Some of them will sing, some of them will play an instrument, some of them tell a joke. They're good fun, and everybody's comfortable because they're in company with people in a similar situation, and that makes such a difference.
And there's that true understanding, because people around you with the best will in the world, and I'm sure they're amazing, if they're not living it, they just perhaps maybe can't empathise on the same level as someone who's got that actual lived shared experience with the best will in the world.
You have that instant empathy when you're talking to someone else in the same situation.
I just worry sometimes with things like this, when we have people like you, Mary, and now a full-time carer, when people like you do such a dedicated and brilliant job, you know, does that mean that we don't focus on supporting you and training and rewarding people to maybe give you a break or to support you? You know what I mean? Do we say to ourselves, well, we can spend that money, or arguably maybe waste that money elsewhere, because strong Mary Toland there in the west of Donegal's doing all the heavy lifting for us, you know?
Well, there would be an element of that, but like, nobody wants to be on this journey unless they have to, you know, and we have been in the lucky position of having very strong family support and extended family support. So that's what we've been relying on. And I know the health services, they're swamped with everything. You know, there's so much going on. And everything's just, the funding's not there to spread. You know, and like, having a dementia advisor now in Donegal is a major thing. That's a major step forward.
So I think a couple of things that's important here, Mary, and you correct me as I go along, is persist. You know, trust yourself, trust your partner. If you believe that it's not what you're being told it is, proceed, because that's what you did and that's what you found out. Engage with the agencies, the groups that are there, because clearly that can be very, very helpful. And engage with the likes of the social clubs and stuff, because for some people that's a bit of a lump. You know, they might say, no, this is a problem we'll keep inside our own four walls. I wonder if that's how my mum and dad would have dealt with it, you know, if they would have said, no, this is a secret, it's private, you know, lock it in. Do you know what I'm on about? And what would the outcome have been there? Whereas, you know, engage with other people like-minded or like people in similar situations and stuff. And anything else you want to add, Mary?
Yeah, that generational thing too, like the previous generation, I suppose our parents' generation, and that the association with any kind of perceived mental illness was seen as a kind of it was a stigma, or it was something you weren't going to be public about.
Hide it, put it under the carpet,
Yeah, even things like epilepsy was seen as something like you just don't talk about it, you know, and things now that are out in the open. But I think there's much more awareness now of dementia, and there are many more younger people being diagnosed, and people are becoming more aware of the fact that there are different types of dementia and they present differently. So there's no one thing fits all. There's like Dermot's presentation was not obviously Alzheimer's, and yet it was this particular form of Alzheimer's.
Well, the very best wishes to Dermot and yourself, Mary. He's obviously in very loving and caring and capable hands. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Thank you.
You give off some sort of an air. I don't know what it is, but you seem, and I'm sure you are, a lovely person, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. That is Mary Toland there. Now we're going to be speaking to Dawn Thompson, Alzheimer's Society of Ireland Dementia Advisor. It's a new role, it's a new service, and hopefully it's going to change things significantly. We'll hear from Dawn after this break.
Get your tyres winter ready. Drop into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
It's November Madness at Crawford Tiles and More Castlefin for 1 week only. There's 20% off all tiles in stock, 10% off all bathware, and 5% off carpet and vinyls. Fitters and delivery service available. That's Crawford's Mad Giveaway Sale for 1 week only. Ends Wednesday the 10th of November. Call 9143942.
Whenever I'm looking for a special gift, I go straight to giftedfromireland.com. It's amazing. Birthdays, weddings, anniversaries. You'll always find something. And for Christmas gifts, it's perfect. Tweeds from Donegal, glass from Waterford, ceramics from Kilkenny, art from Mcauley. Send your loved ones something really special with giftedfromireland.com.
Buy a ticket. Buy a ticket in Highland Radio's mega draw to win a car. Get your ticket by November 30th and automatically enter an extra draw before the big draw. Big draw. One lucky winner will walk away with €2,000. Imagine, that's Christmas all wrapped up. Christmas sorted. The draw will take place on Wednesday, December 1st on the 9 till noon show. 9 till noon. And you're still in with a chance to win the Kia X-Ceed worth over €28,000. 28 grand.
It's that simple to...
To get your ticket, log on to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio, exceeding your expectations.
Ooh.
Homeland Fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 40 kg premium doubles or easy flame coal, $16.99. Buy 10, get one free. Hardwood logs, 2 bags for only €10. Flow gas, £25 gas cylinder, only €25.99. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymaccool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At Letterkenny Shopping Centre, we're already dreaming about the festive season, so why not make a start? Park for free and enjoy your Christmas shopping this year. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
It is 11:29. Okay, next on the programme, we are joined by Dawn Thompson, Alzheimer's Society of Ireland Dementia Advisor for Donegal. Dawn, good morning to you and thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, now tell us about this new service.
Okay, Greg. Well, this is a brand new service for County Donegal. It is a free and confidential service for people who live with dementia and their families. What we do, we provide information, support, advice, signposting to other services, both maybe dementia-specific and others in the community. People of any age with a diagnosis of dementia can link in with us, and we will interact with anybody regardless of the type of dementia they have. Another important point, Greg, would be to add that even if a person doesn't have a diagnosis and they have concerns, about their memory, maybe not sure what's going on, we also welcome referrals from people who don't have a formal diagnosis.
And is this to, I suppose, there is a lot of services out there, a lot of people out there. It's about connecting them. Is it to...
Absolutely, Greg, yeah. And I think, as you say, and rightly so, there's a lot of great work going on out there. But sometimes for the person with the diagnosis or their primary caregiver, be it a family family member or friend or whoever, it can be difficult to join up the dots. And I suppose linking into the Dementia Advisor Service is, it's a good way of sort of tying everything together and sort of getting that coordinated approach.
Yeah, and I think it reaches people too that not feel embarrassed about engaging with services, but say, is that for me? Is it what we need? How will that benefit me? Well, here's the information to say, yes, it is for you. And this is how we can help and benefit you. This is the directions we can point you in. This is the support we can offer.
Absolutely. And, it can take the form, not everybody is comfortable maybe approaching services, so it is as formal or as informal as people want it to be. People can be referred into the service via a healthcare professional like their GP, public health nurse, members of the mental health service for older people. But likewise, we welcome referrals as well from direct family members or people with dementia themselves. And they can that's a simple phone call. They can email me, maybe if they prefer that, rather than it can be difficult just to take that first step, or they can text me and I can always get back to them. But we really do want to stress, we are here for people, don't be alone in your diagnosis, don't be alone in your caring role, and, we will talk to you and we will work out a plan going forward. And some people may just have one question they need answered. Other people may not be sure how to progress,
yes,
and just want that advice, as to what is available to them. So really, whatever the issue, we will talk to anyone. And
don't try and filter it out yourself as an individual. Engage and find out what's there, what help can be. It's a completely judge-free zone, and you and your team are there to help. That's your primary role.
That's the message we really want to get out there, that we are here to help. We want to reduce the stigma. That's very easy to say, but, we want people to feel comfortable coming to us.
And in relation to that stigma, Dawn, people may be aware or have realised that there's a push on here to discuss dementia, to understand it, right? And it's important we do so, don't we? And because, and understand who it affects, because we might have this thing in our head, what dementia is, and maybe even an age demographic that it might affect. We need to open our minds and have a better understanding of it, don't we?
We do. We really need to stand back from it, and look at it as it actually exists at the moment. I mean, you mentioned there about an age demographic. For example, many people may not be aware that we have around 4,000 people in Ireland under the age of 65 living with a diagnosis of dementia. So that's just a fact that maybe not everybody is aware of. And so we really need to look at the lived experience for people. Not just from an academic or from a medical perspective, but people's actual experiences, and evidence does show that the earlier people interact with services, the earlier into their journey with dementia, the better the outcomes. Now that can be difficult, but for whatever reason, maybe people don't come forward for testing. They might be a little bit apprehensive,
or even engaging with services is finally accepting something that they already know. It can be for any reason, and you talk about the importance of sort of engaging early, but it's never too late, is it?
It's never too late, and I really would like to stress that as well, Greg. We will speak to people at any stage, of their journey with dementia, and that's very important as well, even for family carers. So much falls onto family carers, as we know, whatever the condition. But even if a loved one has progressed into long-term care, for example, and hopefully their needs are being met, in a different way, we're still here for the family carers, and that I can't sort of overemphasize the impact of having emotional support at the end of the phone as well. And while we're not a personal advocacy or counselling service, we do recognise maybe when there's a need for those services, and we can signpost then accordingly.
Yeah, I might talk about the services a little bit more, but in a way that first phone call is a form of counselling for a lot of people. But we'll talk about some of the services that are out there in a moment. But also there's plenty of information there as well about Actually, before I get to that, because you mentioned an important point here, you mentioned something that put something in my mind. When someone gets a diagnosis, it is not just often an individual, is it? It is the people around them. It is the whole family or a partner.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And, we often hear, people quote things like, for every person with a diagnosis of dementia, there might be at least 3 other people affected in some way, shape or form, And I suppose that's what the Dementia Advisor Service is all about, providing support to the person with the dementia, but also to the family carer or whoever the primary caregiver might be.
Okay, so give us some examples then of what services are out there. Presumably it can be, very, very medical or counselling, or else it could be some simple supports in terms of how someone can have as full a life as is possible.
That's right. Well, we have, we can give people, we have a wealth of information which is updated regularly and reviewed on a regular basis, in the form of fact sheets and publications which we can have sent out to people from our national office. We also would signpost people, maybe to the mental health service for older people or psychiatry of old age teams if they haven't already been seen. Some people may just need signposting to their local public health nurse for whatever reason they may not have engaged. So it can take the form of anything. Also important at this stage to stress as well, Greg, that there are so many community supports out there now at the moment. Family resource centres, the social prescribing team, for example.
The CAFs are a great, they're a great initiative too, aren't they?
These are all extra supports, who welcome everyone. And it's, particularly maybe for family caregivers, so there's a lot of different supports. And then the dementia-specific supports, it could take the form of home care or day services, which remain closed at the moment, but at local level here, I know the team worked very hard to put in what they called daycare at home, and that would have been for people who heretofore would have attended a day service, and due to COVID, maybe that service closed down. So they just turned that around, and the carers then would have visited people in their own homes and, provided stimulating activities and companionship and that. So that's kind of at local level. We also would have had our Alzheimer's cafes and social clubs, which unfortunately remain closed. Now, they will open on a face-to-face basis again. We're just not sure yet when that will happen. Those services have actually gone online. And so we have our online cafe happening once a month on the last Monday of the month. And we have our online social club here in Donegal happening every second Tuesday. And people can either contact me or the office in Donegal town if they want to link in with any of those online services. It's not for everyone, Greg, but, people maybe should give it a go and see. They might benefit or they might pick up something from it.
And I think that's, Dawn, a lot of what we're talking about here. Someone doesn't have to contact you and go into everything 100%. It can be whatever they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And Dawn, just more broadly, do you think we have to, as a society, especially with an ageing population, though we talked about Alzheimer's affecting people of a younger age as well, do we have to change our language, our understanding, how we converse about this? Do you think, is there a bit of work to be done there? Maybe that's what we're doing right now.
I think there is a bit of work, and it is great. Probably for the first time ever, dementia is really coming under the spotlight, and very much so at local level as well. There's a great appetite there for people to work together. We have, for example, the integrated care programme happening here in Donegal, and that is made up of healthcare professionals being led by Sharon Richardson. And, we're looking at establishing services in an integrated manner, supporting people to live well at home, signposting people to the right service at the right time. So now that's a work in development, and maybe we'll come back at a later date when more development has taken place and speak about that. But I think it's very heartening that, there is that appetite there to shine the light on dementia at local level here in Donegal.
Inroads are being made.
inroads are definitely being made. Is there work to be done? Of course there is. Things are not perfect, but there is that sort of integrated approach now, which is really very important.
And the support you offer as well, and you may have touched on this, but I think it's important to emphasise, it's not just clinical, it's emotional. There's an understanding by those working within the services that this is, there's practical elements to it though, but there's also sometimes the intangible, or isn't there, how people feel, how they are coping.
Yes, exactly. And, like that, as I say, when somebody links in with my service, for example, they may just want very practical information in the first instance, but it's great to be able to reassure people that they can link in with me at any time. It's an ongoing service. We don't discharge. So, people can link in just as much or as little as they want, and then I have an understanding that I also would do follow-up calls, with clients, on a regular basis as well, if that is what they want. And just maybe as well, Greg, to highlight here, we also have the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland's helpline, and that's another free and confidential service which people can contact, and it's 1-800-341-341, and that helpline operates from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, and from 10 to 4 on a Saturday.
Now, just in terms of accessing local services, what is the best way for people to, they've listened to this, they think, yes, I think there's something in that for me. How do they engage? You talked about referral, but just in the last couple of moments, talk to me about how people sort of go, right, I liked what Dawn has to say, I want some of that, but what do I do next?
Yeah, well, people can actually contact me directly, Greg, and as much as I get a lot of referrals from our counterparts in the HSE, I also do get a lot of direct family and self-referrals. So I don't know if you want me to give my number at this stage.
Yes, and we'll retain it here and we can pass it on.
Yeah, so it is 087 380 2957. And if I don't pick up immediately, if people just leave a message and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. Likewise, they can just send me a text and I'll contact them, or people can email me, and it's Dawn, DAWN, .Thompson with a P, THOMPSON, @alzheimer.ie.
Okay, Dawn, listen, a lot of information in there, and hopefully it's reaching the right people. We'll speak again, of course, Dawn, in the future, but for now, thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, that's Dawn Thompson there, Alzheimer's Society of Ireland Dementia Advisor for Donegal. Now, we've been having this conversation as part of a project, Dementia Understand Together, and there are many things we can do as individuals and communities to support people and families who are living with dementia, including see the person, not the dementia, talk about it, ask how you can help, stay in touch, support the person to keep up hobbies and interests, make sure your service or space is easy to use. And here's Fanula with some more from the HSE.
We all understand the importance of social interaction, being with each other, connecting and sharing experiences, now more than ever. But did you know social interaction plays a key role in helping people who are living with dementia? It's healthy, like exercise for the brain, and it supports well-being, which has positive benefits for the person. Staying socially engaged with friends and family has also been shown to boost self-esteem. A dementia-inclusive community enables people who are living with dementia to do just that, to live. Whether that's staying connected to or joining a club, taking up a hobby or visiting their local shop. Being with each other to talk and share experiences nurtures the soul and gives a sense of belonging. You can be that connection. For more information and support, free phone 1-800-341-341 or visit understandtogether.ie. From the HSE in partnership with the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland and Age Friendly Ireland.
Get your tyres ready for winter. Call into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Did you know the Personal Injuries Assessment Board is Ireland's state body for assessing personal injury claims? We are fair and independent and use the exact same guidelines as the courts to calculate compensation. But our process is nearly 2 years faster on average. Our costs are low too, an average of 20 times lower than the cost of litigation. The Personal Injuries Assessment Board. Similar compensation, faster resolution, fairer for all. Visit piab.ie for more information.
Live music and entertainment is back at the Alley Theatre Strabane with the Dubliners Show, Conwell Gallen, Sorry for Your Loss, Cash Returns, The Johnny and June Story, The Christmas Country with the Stars Show, and Strabane Chamber Choir. For more information and tickets, alley-theatre.com or follow our socials.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Letterkenny Shopping Centre is where real Christmas begins. Get everything you need for the festive season with a wide range of gifts, food and services. Park for free, have a browse, grab a coffee and actually enjoy your Christmas shopping this year. Thank you for visiting Letterkenny Shopping Centre this Christmas.
Well, Davy, brilliant that you weren't in work today. We had some crack. It was Peter's last shift, so we all went out for lunch. Thanks for staying away. The lads are delighted. Chat to you soon. Mind yourself.
No one will thank you for turning up to work or anything else when you're sick. Stay at home and get a test to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. From the HSE, for us all.
Store and Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store and Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations. Business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store and Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
Business Matters in association with the LYIT Faculty of Business. Do you want to learn how to tap into unprecedented opportunities in the food and drink industry? Then join our higher diploma in Food Product Innovation and Enterprise. This course is 100% online and co-funded by Donegal Local Enterprise Office. Visit lyit.ie for more information.
All right, the Business Matters podcast is available right now for you to listen to. We are joined by its presenter, Kieran O'Donnell. Hi, Kieran.
Good morning, Greg.
A little later than usual, but the other subject ran over a little bit. Right, let's start with some news. A learn and lunch session.
Yes, the next lunch and learn session being organised by the Donegal Business Network on Wednesday, November the 17th, will be delivered by business coach and founder of SMACT, Padraig O'Malley. Padraig has helped hundreds of business owners survive and thrive through the last 2 economic recessions, and during the 45-minute event, business owners will learn where the game of business has changed and the 4 areas where they can begin to up their game with immediate impact at almost no financial cost. So the event, as usual, will be delivered online via Zoom, and registration is through Eventbrite.
Another multi-million euro takeover of a Donegal-based company, Kieran.
Yes, Killigordon-based Nomadic Dairy is to be acquired by the specialist food investment group Biovest in partnership with the Development Capital, and a deal worth up to €29 million. So, Greg, €6 million of the total will be paid as a deferred consideration contingent on financial performance next year. So, part of the Donegal investment group, Nomadic Dairy is a premium branded yogurt manufacturer which employs 80 people. It was founded in 1988. It supplies multiple products across the UK and Ireland, and the UK is now accounting for 80% of the company's revenue.
That's a big amount of money there. Yep. Right, now, not the news we want to hear, really, I suppose, in a housing crisis. A fall in new house completions.
Not the news, but probably no surprise, Greg. There's been a 14% reduction in the number of new dwelling completions in Donegal in the third quarter of 2021 compared to the same period last year. So between July and September, 111 dwellings were completed in Donegal. That's 19 fewer than the third quarter in 2020. So overall, a total of 317 new homes have been completed in Donegal so far this year, and that's compared to 349 during the same period last year.
All right. LYIT never out of the news now, between good positive news, huge developments and open days. What's the latest?
There's always something happening there, Greg, for sure. The open day at Letterkenny IT will take place both on campus and online on Thursday, November the 18th, between 9:30am and 2:30pm. So the message from the college is whether you're a Leaving Cert student, a graduate, or considering a return to education, there's plenty of choice at LYIT.
Yep, go along and see. You might be surprised. Right, now, are you willing to work after retirement
This
age?
was especially for you. Over half of the people...
I'm already working past retirement age.
Over half of people want to keep working in some capacity when they reach retirement age.
Which is what, 66 at the moment, 67, soon 68, 70?
Well,
when will it be?
whatever it's going to be. That's according to a new report from Standard Life. So 10% said they would like to continue working full-time, while 42% said they would prefer part-time work. So as part of the research, those approaching retirement age were asked what their top reasons for wanting to continue work. So 60% feared they would get bored if they stopped working. 55% said they enjoy the mental challenge of work, while 53% said they enjoy the social interaction.
And it's across different sectors. People have different views. Yeah. The thing is that we need to come up with a system that maximises people's ability to do with what they want their life, but also to accommodate those that want to continue working. I mean, it's
just the other thing, I suppose, that brings into the focus. There's so much talk about the age, as you mentioned earlier, been increased from 65 to 66 or 67 or 68. But if there's a willingness there among a lot of the population to work on, maybe it might be as big a deal as people are making out.
For sure, but then in different industries, like maybe outdoor work, building, you might be glad of the rest at 65.
Yes.
Right, what's coming up on this week's podcast, Kieran?
Greg, on this week's podcast, I'm joined by Barrett Harper. Barrett is the founder and CEO of the Letterkenny-based software company Involve Group. So having lived in the UK, Germany and Australia, Barry set up Involve in 2005, and his company also has offices in the UK, the US and India. So the local firm is in the process of doubling its workforce from 20 to 40, with its latest recruits taking up their positions last week. I asked Barry about his decision to set up his company at the CoLab in Letterkenny.
I'm from Castlederg, so good proud Tyrone man, especially Tyrone's playing Donegal. But when we looked at the locations that were around, I looked at Oma and Strabane and up around, there wasn't much obviously in Castlederg from a business perspective to support what I wanted to do for a software business. So I met Patsy here in the CoLab, and I was immediately impressed with the setup here and the facilities and everything was here. That just made it nice and easy and nice and handy. But the link with the college, it had something. It was obviously the branding of the company is important. Like when we're talking to the likes of Coca-Cola or Moy Park or Iceland or Cadbury, it's to have a location which is part of a college, which is now soon to be a university, obviously. So it helps our brand when we're talking to these potential customers about where our head office actually is. So the facilities and everything here is fantastic, and obviously recruiting people then Letterkenny has got a larger cohort of local people. But what we found actually through the initial phases of our recruitment, some of our people are distributed and in remote locations because you're looking for experienced people to join the team, and if we can't find them locally, then we have to go further afield. And obviously with the pandemic, people are getting used to the concept of working from home, and that works really well. And it opened up the talent pool for us that we could potentially hire people that don't necessarily need to live within 30 or 40 mile of Letterkenny here to get to work. All
right, you can hear much more of Barry Harper there, another interesting company and another interesting person behind it and their story. Keeps delivering your podcast in that regard. Kieran, the full interview is available now on our website, highlandradio.com, on Spotify and iTunes. And Business Matters broadcast Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. You didn't mind the delay last Sunday, Kieran, too much?
Certainly not.
Indeed. All right, anyone looking to get in touch with the show, how did they do it?
Yeah, drop me an email, please, Greg, businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Kieran, thank you very much indeed. We'll be back with a look at the weather forecast after this break.
Get your tyres winter ready. Drop into Ulster Tyres in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet today.
Throughout Ireland, change is happening. Together we can build a community of support to empower those living with dementia. Highland Radio, proud to support Dementia Understand Together. Brought to you by the HSC.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure Main Street Letterkenny, your destination ASICS advisor. Looking to go further and faster, or maybe some cushioning and support. ASICS Gel Keano 28 with added flight foam cushioning to the midsole, accompanied with a new and improved stability system. New range of ASICS for men and women in-store and online. Look the part, play the part. In-store, online, mobile. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
People don't become successful by accident. You've got to know what you want. So take off your shoes. Sit down. Reach no further than your tablet. Type in Skoda and you've won. Smile about doing less while some other guy is doing loads. Yawn like you've never yawned before. Smile again about the offers from 0%. Then configure your perfect car and fill out the easy online finance application. It's never been easier to be successful. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit skoda.ie for further information.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Uncover the magic of Christmas in Derry and Strabane. Join us for some festive fun with the Christmas light switch-ons. Strabane, Saturday the 20th of November, and Derry, Sunday the 21st of November. Find something special at the enchanting Wall City Market and join Santa and his helpers with the Mayor's Christmas fun activities in December. Visit derrystrabane.com/Christmas.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. There's also loads of great present ideas with the Christmas Club now open. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with National Fuels, delivering home heating oil to Letterkenny and the surrounding areas at competitive prices. National Fuels, 9137 400.
Okay, so a lot of dry weather with sunny spells this afternoon. Some well-scattered showers will occur too. Highest temperatures will range 10 to 12 degrees in just light variable breezes. That's where we have to leave it on the programme. Thank you to everyone who listened and who watched the show. We're back with